Hello. It says I'm live. That's good. Hello, Ian Bennett. Nice to hear from you again. It's good you're here. Thanks very much for joining us. Okay, I'm just going to share this on Facebook. I'll do all the things I normally forget, but I won't forget this time. There we go. Tweet that. What happened there? That's it. It's been posted, is it? Twitter is so bloody annoying. Oh, that's it. Right. Okay. Now, Facebook. I'll just let them know it's there. Facebook. Yay. Mr. MT, hello. Disgusted by double standards of these Remainers. Hey, Ben, looking forward to the podcast. Hi, Mr. MT. I am as well. I'll be coming to that in more detail shortly about what these Remainers have done and what we can do about it, etc., etc. So I'll just wait. Cosmic, hey, Brexit. Hi, Cosmic Claire. Thanks for joining us. I really must. I know some of you. I know Claire in particular because we talked privately about this. Found this earlier time more difficult. I know Neptune Returns is having trouble too. I'm sorry that, but this is going to be a long one, and I've got to work in the morning. And hello, Steve071. How are you? Brexit or bust? Yes. This is great. It's absolutely great. We've got 6 people watching so far. Tina, hello, Tina. How are you? Thanks for joining. I'll obviously give a few minutes for people to turn up. Oh, thanks, Claire. Yeah, I might do this regularly around this time, actually. Maybe depending on the day of the week. It's just. I'm fine. I feel well, thanks, Tina. I'm glad you're okay. Hello, Edwardian lady. How are you? And Heidi. Heidi Neil. Heidi Neil TTFN is the star of my particular video called Awakenings Manchester, and she's the highlight of that particular video. I thought, Steve, I am bouncing. I am pretty well, actually. The last few days have been exciting, haven't they? They've been really exciting. I'll tell you what, man. It's say what you like about the last 3 years. I mean, they've been. How long's it been now? It's been half the length of the Second World War now. We've been fighting this war longer, but it's about that, isn't it? Because it's like it's. I tell you what, though, as nerve-wracking as it's been, and frustrating, and annoying, and disheartening, no one can say it's been boring. British politics has not been boring for a very long time. Hello, Richard Kinzet. How are you? Thanks all for being here. Really appreciate it. So now we've got 12. I think that's quite a few, isn't it? Anyway, I'll start the lead off in a minute. This is going to be a long show. This is one of the reasons I wanted to go early, like I said. What I'll do is I've got a little lead off to read. If you want to make comments, you've got a frozen pic of me. Oh, was it Steve? Oh, right. Tina, is Prince Andrew Epstein thing a distraction? No, I don't think so. There may well be distractions from Brexit. I think this is a real thing, but I will. I'm not a lizard Kloppite. Hello, Kloppite. Anyway, Tom Watson is he's horrible. Tom Watson is Jeremy Corbyn's. Well, he was Jeremy Corbyn's deputy. I don't know if he still is, but he's a knob. Hello, Paul. Yeah. I'm going to go into all that this evening. So what I'll do is I'll read the lead off, which will take usually about half an hour or so. If you've got any comments for me, could you hold them until after I finish? Because what I'll do is I'll go back through the comments which have been posted during the lead off, and I will just simply delete the trolls. Well, the last time we didn't have any, which is quite nice. It's the only time I've had no trolls at all. And then what I'll do is I'll answer your comments from there. The reason is it just gets too much otherwise, and I end up like answering people's comments an hour before anyone else, and the live stream goes on until about 2 in the morning. It's just all really annoying. Oh right, so BJ's a lizard. I thought you meant me, Ben. Oh right, he's not a lizard. He's human. Oh good, Steve. You want to see me moving? Yes, I'm much better in motion pictures than I am in stills. Okay, so where shall I begin? Well, let me begin by saying 2019 is the new 2016, isn't it? After a very stagnant 2018, 2019 is proven to be pretty turbulent so far, isn't it? In fact, I've got a lot of material coming up which I can incorporate into my talk at Probe at the end of the next month. I'm speaking at the Phoenix International Probe Conference, so please do get to that if you can. I think it's the 28th and 29th. Yep, 28th and 29th for next month. There's in St Anne's, Lancashire. I'm speaking on the Sunday evening, so get to that if you can. Now, funnily enough, I was planning to do this live stream anyway. The other day, I was going to do it. I was going to post a notice on Thursday, yesterday, and I was going to do it on Saturday, and it was going to be called 2 months till Brexit. And then suddenly the news broke. The news broke of what I'm going to talk about this evening, and I had to change everything. So I've got a new podcast, I've got a new live stream, I've got it sooner, and it's got a different title. And this is just really amazing. I'll begin by saying, I think now, because of what's happened in the last few days, we on the Brexit side of the debate, the ones who voted leave, we are in a stronger position now than we have been since the referendum in 2016. If we can't achieve Brexit now, we're never going to. This is really, it's all or nothing now. It's make or break, win or lose. I think this is the end game, and it's extraordinarily exciting. And I think we're in with an excellent chance. As I said, I think we're in the best position ever. And to be honest, there's actually no way we can lose. We cannot lose, because whatever happens, the government are going to look like the awful moronic spoil sports that they are. Well, regardless of what happens, I think we should rejoice. I'll go into a little more detail about the possible outcomes of the next few weeks and 2 months leading up to the Halloween Brexit date. But I think we should enjoy the ride, because how can we lose this one? You see, I do want Brexit to happen. I mean, I want it so much. I want it more than anything. The reason is, I was trying to think, well, why? Because intellectually, as I'll explain later, I think whether Brexit happens or not, the whole Brexit issue has it's hamstrung the entire New World Order more than anything else that's happened for over probably 2 centuries or more. But so whether it happens or not, that counts. That's going to happen. But I want it to happen because of the referendum, because Mahatma Gandhi said there's a natural arc to the world that moves towards justice. And although I know I think he's right there, it sometimes doesn't feel that way. And I want to experience that. I want Brexit to happen because there was a referendum in 2016 which we won, and since then the government, the forces against the globalist forces who are trying to stop Brexit, has been doing everything they can to wriggle out of that and trying to find excuses for why they can't just give us the results of the referendum. And I want Brexit to happen because we, the Brexiteers, we have won the rational argument. We have won the moral argument, and everyone knows this. Some Ramonas effectively admit this. I mean, I've got to say, and this is a sad thing, and I will probably do another video about this, but my own father is like the polar opposite of me. I'm about as extreme as any Brexiteer can get. He's about as extreme as any Ramona can get, and he's effectively admitted that that's the Remain side have lost. They've lost the moral and rational argument. But he says he knows then what he understands that they're just looking for excuses, and everything they've said is logically unsustainable. But he just says, I don't care. I said, well, why do you want Brexit? Why do you want Brexit stopped? He said, I just want it stopped. I don't care. But he says, by any means, fair or foul, we should just stop it. And I've lost all respect for him because of this, not just because of this, because of other things within our family, other issues, more personal issues, which I won't talk about. But I have lost respect for him. I'm not saying I haven't lost like kind of like filial love for him. I can forgive weakness. I can't forgive malice, which is why I can't forgive my mother. But I can forgive weakness, which is why I can forgive my dad. He's not malicious. He's just feeble. Anyway, I'll go into that more on another video. But anyway, what's happened? Well, the UK Parliament has been suspended. This was announced on Wednesday evening, and I immediately put up. As soon as I saw the news, I said, right, live stream. It's going to have, can't wait till Saturday. It's going to have to be Friday. And then I immediately put the notice up. UK Parliament is to be suspended for 5 weeks when after it is news. Now it's renewing. It's coming back officially after their very, very long summer break. These MPs don't have an easy time. It's supposed to be back on the 3rd of September, which is next Tuesday. Yet it's going to be suspended. What's going to happen is going to be there for just a few days. The few days will basically will simply be for administration issues, and then it's going to be off until maybe I think Boris said the 14th of October, which is, funny enough, the day after my birthday. So happy birthday from Boris to me. Yes, I couldn't ask for a better present. 5 weeks. This is ahead of the 31st of October when UK is due to leave the European Union. Now, this has come up with a word. There's a word for this, which I didn't know about, but it's now on everyone's lips. Prorogation. I didn't know it was called that, but it is called prorogation. And Owen Jones calls it a coup d'etat by a tin-pot dictator. Yeah. But it's prorogation. It's not a coup. It's the only people calling it a coup d'etat are the people who are these Ramonas are calling it that. It's not. It is done completely in accordance with the law. In fact, I'm pleased to say that the legal challenge, which was there was an emergency lawsuit which was attempted a motion in the Scottish courts today, which failed. And I'm sure that the Prime Minister has had this checked. He's had this checked with the Attorney General, and there's nothing illegal about what's been done. A prorogation of Parliament is perfectly legal. A prorogation of this kind of length, the kind of reasons he wants to do it, is perfectly legal, and it's not a coup d'etat. Mr. Johnson, he wants to start a new parliamentary session with a fresh programme on the 14th of October. Instead of the normal 3-week autumn recess, Parliament will now wrap up on the 10th of September. So basically, that means just 1 week, and we'll just literally just 4 days of actual parliamentary sittings until and then that's it until the 10th of September. Sorry, that's it until the 14th of October. Now, what this means is that the MPs who have been trying to scupper the whole Brexit process have now a far more difficult job. I would say possibly maybe an impossible job. Hopefully, it is an impossible job. There was a big notice put out on at Balmoral where the Queen is, and it said here: the court at Balmoral, 28th day of August 2019. President, the Queen's Most Excellent Majesty in Council. It is this day ordered by Her Majesty in Council that the Parliament be prorogued on a day no earlier than Monday the 9th day of September and no later than Thursday the 12th day of September 2019 to Monday the 14th day of October 2019, to be then holden for the dispatch of divers urgent and unimportant affairs, and that the Right Honourable Lord High Chancellor of Great Britain do cause a commission to be prepared and issued in the usual manner for proroguing Parliament accordingly. All right, so that's royal speak for we're closing it down for 5 weeks, guys. Her Madge will be in Parliament to reopen Parliament on the 14th. So just hope she tucks her tail into the dress as usual. You know, I mean, reptilian though she is, I mean, she didn't kick up any fuss at this. I mean, we'll come into that in a minute anyway. But yeah, Parliament stops work all the time as I said, the parliamentary working hours is pretty low. As they say, crime pays, but the hours are good. The UK, as I say, we've already had a delay from the 29th of March. If you remember my singing performance in Parliament Square, which allowed me to become momentarily the star of the BBC's Newsnight programme. 11 p.m. 29th of March. We didn't actually end up leaving then because of Yvette Cooper. And indeed, what Yvette Cooper tried back then, they're going to try again now. And it's now Mr. Johnson, who was one of the key figures of the Leave campaign, has promised to complete Brexit, to do or die with or without a deal. Well, as I said at the time, I tweeted at him actually when he first posted that, "We will hold you to your promise, Prime Minister. Make it so," I tweeted at him. And as I said, I mean, I did an entire live stream about Boris and about his ascension to number 10. And it looks like he's doing his best to deliver. I have to say that. Anyway, most opposition members of Parliament and many of the governing Conservative Party don't want to leave the EU without a deal. They feel it would damage the British economy, putting up prices and limiting access to UK's biggest market. They threaten to bring in legislation ruling out a no-deal Brexit. Failing that, they could also call a vote of no confidence in the government. This is what they're going to try. Anyway, it is perfectly. There's a question. There's some FAQs here. Is it legal to suspend Parliament? Yes. It's what normally happens between the end of one session and the beginning of the next. However, the circumstances are unusual. A legal challenge would be difficult since the government isn't breaking any law. Yes, exactly. And as they've just found out in Scotland today, the government is using parliamentary procedure as Mr. Johnson tries to fulfill his campaign promise to get UK out of the EU. Basically, he's got to shut these people up to stop what they're doing. Which is, I mean, a lot of the rumor says this is an attack against democracy. Owen Jones, the little squealer, as Morgoth calls him, he was at an event the other day ranting on stage about this. No, it's not. It's ironic, really, that we have to shut down Parliament to protect democracy, but that's what we're doing. What Boris is doing is he's suspending Parliament to protect democracy, because Parliament is basically taken over by a bunch of people who are trying to subvert democracy. So MPs can go along with the expansion and risk a no-deal Brexit, or they can trigger an election with a vote of no confidence in the government. Now, there's actually not realistic. There's not enough time to have a general election before the 31st of October. However, there's several tricks they might use, which I'll come on to. Anyway, the Speaker of the House of Commons, John Bercow, order! He's called the suspension a constitutional outrage designed to prevent MPs from debating Brexit. Well, he's stepping out of line there, because the role of the Speaker is one of the most popular people in Parliament, actually. Not this one, but there's been others like Bernard Weatherall, Betty Boothroyd, and people like that. They have the most honest job in there, which is not saying much, really, when you think about it. But their job is simply to maintain order, to maintain parliamentary order, and to make sure that everything goes according to the law. Right. Funny thing is about the Queen. It says here, what does she have a say? Is it limited? Could she say no? Technically, the government has to ask the Queen permission to suspend Parliament. This is normally a formality. The Queen keeps out of politics. If she had refused, it would have been unprecedented. She did not refuse. Well, not quite. Now, the Queen says the Queen keeps out of politics. Constitutionally, she doesn't. Constitutionally, she has the power to suspend Parliament herself, completely out of her own whim, and indeed dismiss the government. Indeed, they say this is unprecedented. It certainly is in this country, but it's not across the world. I mean, the most infamous time was 1974 in Australia. Now, the Queen dismissed the sitting Prime Minister of Australia, Gough Whitlam. This led to the famous constitutional crisis, which has really given birth to the Republican movement, or certainly added fuel to the Republican movement in Australia. Anyway, Johnny Diamond, the BBC's royal correspondent, said it would have been impossible for the Queen to turn down the Prime Minister's request. The Queen acts on the advice of her Prime Minister. Impossible is the wrong word. It is constitutionally perfectly possible for her to turn down the request. Indeed, she can forbid the Prime Minister the suspension of Parliament in the same way that she can suspend Parliament. She can insist on it. However, she cannot. It would be an aberration for her to do that. While many people may be upset that Parliament is not going to sit at such a time, precedent is on the side with those making decisions. The Queen has very little wriggle room to make any kind of political decision. What happens next? Parliament goes back to work next Tuesday, but then we'll go into recess. If Mr. Johnson gets his way, Parliament returns on the 14th of October, 2.5 weeks before the UK leaves the EU. By that time, it'll basically be just basically the finish line, basically, and there's no one any end's going to catch him. Someone used the analogy of a sport game, such as they talked about basketball, but the same goes for football or any other game. You sometimes see at the end of a game when one team is like a goal ahead, they will simply keep possession of the ball, and just wait for the clock to run down. And that essentially is what Mr. Johnson's hoping to do. He's hoping to put himself in a position where there's just simply no time for all these slimy little backstabbing Ramonas to do their dirty work. However, if the MPs pass a vote of no confidence before the 10th of September, there could be a general election in October. Well, yeah, well, that is feasible. However, to get a vote of no confidence, you have to have 2/3 of the House has to agree to it. And indeed, this happened with Theresa May survived a vote of no confidence, both a party and indeed a governmental and parliamentary vote of no confidence. She survived both. Now, what's going to happen is, she survived them quite easily, if I recall. Is it realistic that the Ramonas are going to get 2/3 of the House to support a vote of no confidence? Will they even get a majority of the House to support it? I doubt they will, actually. It seems, it's true that unfortunately Boris only has a working majority of one because of the dirty trick that was played at the Radnor by-election, if you remember. I wrote an article at the time, actually. Let me just have a look at that because it's a very important article. Where was it? No, I didn't. I didn't write an article at the time. Oh, I thought I did. Maybe I just covered it on. Maybe was it the last live stream? Anyway, I'll summarise it anyway briefly. There was a by-election that it was Richard Davis MP was basically resigned because of the expenses scandal. And another parliamentary criminal. Honestly, if the crime rates in the House of Commons were translated to the country as a whole, we'd have a crime spree like you'd never seen before, and that's just official statistics. Never mind the ones that have got away with things. But anyway, now the Lib Dems said that they would win. They were predicted they would win, even though it was previously a safe Conservative seat. But the reason they said they would win is because Plaid Cymru, the Greens, and who else was it? I think just Plaid Cymru and the Greens deliberately didn't field candidates there so that they knew their electorate would vote for the Lib Dems. Why? Brexit. They wanted to reduce the government's majority. Anyway, they have to get 2/3 of. So that's a sign. Anyway, that is a sign of things to come because we're looking at the first signs of an anti-Brexit coalition. And this means, and I'll come to this in a minute, there may have to be a pro-Brexit coalition. But anyway, it's unlikely realistically. Firstly, it's unlikely they'll get a vote of no confidence. Then there's a 14-day cooling off period where the government can actually challenge that. And only then, and you need a 5-week, the Electoral Commission requires, is it 5 weeks for an election? It's not realistic that's going to happen. Especially if there's this parliamentary suspension, if it goes ahead. If there's an election, will Brexit still happen? It's kind of academic now. But if the Conservatives win, yes, they're ahead in the opinion polls, about 31% last week. Oh, yes, Labour's trailing 10 to 12 points. Now, this is a huge loss. And they're also in bad financial straits, actually. Which means, would they risk a general election? Because the thing is, like Jeremy Corbyn had a bit of a fallout with what's her name, Swinson, that nondescript person of I don't know what she is, who's running the Lib Dems, she just goes on and on about revoke Article 50, revoke Article 50, or delay. She's horrible. Anyway, she's urinated off even the Labour left now because. She refused to get involved in any kind of plan that would have Jeremy Corbyn as Prime Minister. And this means that a Labour Lib Dem coalition is less likely. And if there is a general election, according to the opinion polls, now opinion polls are not always right, but according to them, it looks like they would lose. Of course, opinion polls are sometimes false, like Theresa May found out when she threw a general election. Yep. Now this doesn't include the Brexit party. Now that's Nigel Farage's party. Boris is going to need to ask him for help. He may not like that, but he's going to have to. Because, and I think I made this point in the last live stream, the left will unite and put aside their differences, I think, if push came to shove. They are that determined to stop Brexit. They are that determined. I think they would do it. Probably if push came to shove, they would do it. So it's a really amazing situation. It really should make people think. This all started with the Kalergi plan, which dates back to 1920, the idea that we should have a European superstate. Britain was tricked into joining the European Economic Community. That's very Orwellian, isn't it? Look, do you like my t-shirt? I think I've got a suitable t-shirt on for tonight's show. 1984 was not meant to be an instruction manual. I wore that during the Orwell live stream, and I'm doing it again because I think it's suitable. I was going to put on my Trump gear, but I thought, no, I'll save that. I'll save that for another special occasion. But Britain, we're kind of like, we certainly used to have a lot of national self-esteem. We regarded ourselves as a proud, strong nation. And I think people had that idea when we went into the EEC. It was before my time, so I couldn't have decided myself. I've never asked my dad, but I bet he bloody voted for it. Anyway, they did win the referendum back then. Tony Benn warned where this would go, and sadly, he lived long enough to see the emergence of the EU, but not long enough quite to see the emergence of the Brexit vote, which is a shame. I'm sure he's watching from the other side and rubbing his hands with glee. But look at how it's portrayed now. Essentially, the way this situation is being portrayed, especially by the Ramonas, is that this strong, proud nation is now a comatose patient. It's a comatose patient, and the European Union is our life support machine. And we nasty old Brexiteers, we want to pull the plug. That's how they're portraying it. You know, it's ironic that we have so many nations that have had to fight for independence. And there's a whole list of them: Ireland, India, USA. It goes on and on and on. We Brits, we've been handed independence on a plate through the normal political channels. Are we really going to go down in history as a country who didn't accept it because we were too scared? As I said, Brexit is right. Brexit is, we've won the moral and rational argument. The people who are trying to stop it have lost that argument, and they know and they don't care. I know very well that Brexit's not this. People say, well, Brexit's not everything, Ben. I know it's not. I'll be saying more about that in a video closer to the time, closer to the actual Halloween Brexit day. But I'd like to see people who've won the moral and rational argument win. I want to see us win because it's right. I think it's if you see, I know how this world works. I know that there are people who lose the moral and rational arguments, and they then go on to win whatever they're winning. I know that. But I hate it when that happens, and I want this to be different. I want to see justice done here. I want to see the good guys win. Those who are on the side of reason and morality. I want to see us win for that reason. I mean, I know I'll be saying more about this at the time, but I know that's just the first step. Then we have further to go. But I just want to see Brexit happen for that reason. So what have the party leaders said? Right. Jeremy Corbyn. Now, he's somebody I really can't stand. I really think he's a horrible little man. I think I misjudged him. I used to feel a modicum of reluctant respect for him. I mean, I saw him, despite my political differences with him, I saw him as a misguided, sincere person. And since then, certainly in the last year, he's shown himself to be every bit as much an opportunist as any of the others. He's not different to the others. He's not. He is. He's a liar. And he wants to support the real coup d'etat, which is the destruction of the Brexit process. Funnily enough, during his early career, during the EEC scandal, when he was actually a close associate with Tony Benn, he's been in Parliament for a long time. He was elected in '83. He was part of the Labour left Eurosceptics, as they called them at the time. Now he's now an arch Ramona. He's bleating on about second referendums, and now he's talking about let's go full Brussels and just cancel the whole thing. He said that Boris Johnson's attempt to suspend Parliament to avoid security of his plans is a reckless no-deal Brexit. A reckless no-deal Brexit. Oh, I hate this. It's a World Trade Organization rules Brexit, which is nothing. It's not reckless. It's perfectly all right. But you keep hearing phrases like crashing out. It's just flannel. The only people who say this are the people who have a vested interest in moulding public opinion against Brexit. Don't fall for it. It's Project Fear. Don't fall for it. And he said, Labour will work across Parliament to hold the government to account to prevent a disastrous no deal. Jo Swinson, that's her. By suspending Parliament to force through a no deal, Boris Johnson and the government would remove the voice of the people. My goodness me, the gall of it. It's a dangerous and unacceptable course of action, which the Lib Dems strongly oppose. Remove the voice of the people. It's almost like it's a subconscious thing that she's accusing everyone else of doing what she's doing. They're the people. They're the ones who are removing the voice of the people. Nicola Sturgeon, that big fish from Scotland. Wee Jimmy Cranky, she looks like, doesn't she? Shutting down Parliament in order to force through a no-deal Brexit, which would do untold and lasting damage to the country against the wishes of the MPs, is not democracy. It's a dictatorship. No, the democracy was the referendum. And this is crazy. We don't, as I said, the only reason anyone thinks they know that a no-deal Brexit will do any lasting damage to the country is because they've listened to the Project Fear promoters. Adam Price of Plaid Cymru. It's time to leave the sham of a democracy and start building our own. All right. Well, go ahead, mate. Go ahead. If you think it's a sham, you Plaid Cymru, you're a federalist, as they say in Welsh politics. Plaid Cymru are the most Europhilic party in the entire country. I used to be a Welsh nationalist, but I mean, all the Welsh nationalists now are federalists, which sounds to me like a contradiction in terms. Anna Soubry of the Independent Group for Change. There's a parliamentary majority against no deal, and Parliament must resume so we continue cross-party work to legislate against a no deal on the 31st of October. Well, there was a parliamentary majority against no deal. It's quite a small one, but back in April. I'm sure she'd love that. She'd love it altogether, wouldn't she? Oh. Jonathan Bartley, who the hell is he? Well, he's in the Green Party, apparently. This is a cynical, duplicitous, cowardly move by the Prime Minister. There has no mandate behind it. What the Prime Minister is doing here is bypassing Parliament completely in order to drive through his own agenda, an agenda the people did not vote for. The people did not vote for. We did vote for it, you Guardian-reading, bran-eating tosser. Oh, he's doing the exact. This is funny enough. Just listen to what he says. What the Prime Minister is doing here is bypassing Parliament completely in order to drive through his own agenda, an agenda the people did not vote for. The Prime Minister is doing the exact opposite of that. Arlene Foster, DUP. We welcome the decision to hold a Queen's speech marking the start of a new session of Parliament on the 14th of October, where the government will set out its new domestic legislative agenda. So I always make Arlene Foster sound like Miles Johnston, don't I? So she's now on the side. That's good, because they need those DUP people. I mean, it was awful. It was Theresa May's fault, not Boris's fault. But without those DUP people, they don't have a chance. Michelle O'Neill of Sinn Féin. Oh my goodness me. Johnson demonstrates the arrogance of the British government and their contempt for even their own political institutions. It's crystal clear that Irish interests will never be protected at Westminster. Well, it's ironic actually that Sinn Féin, right? Sinn Féin, that's the most hardline Irish nationalist party, are the people who are speaking, and they're all in favour of globalism, and they're all in favour of They're so in favour of the EU. They're so in favour of Ireland being in the EU. And again, it's like Plaid Cymru. What the hell? How is that nationalism? Now, people have been comparing it to Chris Mullin's A Very British Coup. Right, I've got that book. Hang on. I'm going to show you it. Oh, I haven't started reading this yet. I haven't started reading this yet, but it's a classic. This is. I've seen the TV series, but it says it's the novel that foretold the rise of Corbyn. Well, it's ironic now. But I think they'll change the cover now because it doesn't actually, because Corbyn has. This is about a fictional prime minister called Harry Perkins, who's a Sheffield steelworker, who becomes prime minister in the early 80s on the exact manifesto that the Labour Party were actually fielding at the time. And it ends with him being removed by force. It's interesting, though, that it shows that Corbyn has shown that he's nothing like this fictional Harry Perkins. Nothing like him at all. I've got to read that. I really want to read that. I haven't read it yet. But I mean, you can't compare what Boris has done to this. It's not a coup. What happens is the intelligence agencies in the book at the end of the film, they take over the government, extra politically. Now this is not extra politically. This is working within the political system. As you've just seen, it's been challenged in court. The challenge failed. A guy called Chris Leslie. Who the hell is he? Probably saw these nondescript bloody MPs. You know what they're like. They're just all the same, aren't they? It's just like they're all. It's like a nest of slugs. You can't tell one slug from the other. They're just slugs. There's just a big pile of them. You just pour salt on the whole lot of them. You don't say, well, that slug over there, he's got this plan. That slug over there has got that plan. No, that's what they are. But anyway, he said that the vote might just, in fact, be. He said the vote of no confidence. He's got plans actually. It's not just a vote of no confidence. They want to plan on authorising a no deal departure. They basically want to play the same trick that Yvette Cooper played in April, which led to the cancellation of Brexit or the delay. Chris Leslie says the vote might just, in fact, be to force Mr. Johnson to give Parliament a vote on authorising a no deal departure. So it was not a decision he could make on his own. Well. By the time we get to Tuesday, there will be, I believe, a proposal to put in protections against crashing out with no deal. They keep using that term, crashing out. That could mean we simply ensure that the House of Commons has to authorise whatever happens on the 31st of October. It may well be that there is a requirement on the Prime Minister to extend beyond. Oh, God. Mr. Leslie is confident the group will have enough support, but others are not. I hope they're not. But the thing is, firstly, it's like history repeating itself. This is April all over again. They did win, unfortunately, the government last time. They won. Because Theresa May couldn't get her ridiculous deal through Commons, which was awful. They basically went to the EU and asked for extension. Now, again, the European Council has to approve any extension. So even if Chris Leslie, slug number 56, wins this vote, and these Ramonas get what they want, even then, there has to be a meeting at the European Council. That is the Council of Nations, which has to approve it. Now, do you remember the last time they were a bit lukewarm about approving the last extension on the 29th of April? There's also a court case going through. Robin Tilbrook of the English Democrats has been putting a court case through the High Court at the moment, saying that basically you can't just extend Article 50 on a whim. There needs to be a new Act of Parliament, which didn't happen last time. Which means we've essentially, if he's right, that we've essentially left anyway, and they're just not telling us. I made that point actually at the time. But certainly, what happens if the Council of Nations approve it? The Council of Nations they weren't very happy about it. But again, then there has to be a proper Act of Parliament to extend Article 50 on our side and approval from the Council of Nations at the European Union. And do you remember what they said? Use the time wisely. I think they're running out of patience with us. As I said at the time, their position seems to be they're falling back now. I think Junckers and all these others they are falling back. The whole commission have decided that the ideal situation for them is to let Britain go. They're not thinking about us. They're not thinking like we are in this country about staying in. They're thinking about the entire empire. How does it survive? How does this entire globalist enclave survive? And they know it's in big trouble. It's not just Britain that's in big trouble, that's causing trouble. It's almost all the member states now have massive independence movements. They know they want to hold the whole thing together. They may well have decided just to let Britain go and pool their resources to save the rest of it. I hope so. I really do hope so. And I think the general feeling I've gathered from people, and of course I talk to as many people as I can, but I look at opinions and comments and things like that. The general feeling is that these MPs, these Ramona MPs who are trying to sabotage the whole thing, the blame in public opinion seems to be going towards them rather than the Prime Minister. Even some of the pro-EU people are saying, it's that essentially they have to take the blame for what's happened, for this suspension of Parliament. To me, they sound like these MPs. They sound like a bunch of spoilspots just stamping their feet. The reason they sound like that is because that's exactly what they are. So here we are. We have this prorogation, a word I once learned, never forgotten. It's the first they've had for a while. The last time they actually had one was 40 years ago. They had a prorogation. This is going to be, and that was only 3 weeks. This is going to be longer. So this is the longest prorogation since World War II. But as Jacob Rees-Mogg said, suspension of Parliament is proper constitutional procedure. It's a completely proper constitutional procedure, and he's certainly not trying to avoid parliamentary scrutiny, the normal functioning of the Constitution. So this is, you could bet that Boris will have done that. He'll have done his due diligence. He would have gone to the Attorney General and he'd have passed it. He's probably been working hard with the Attorney General to make sure it's all above board. All I's are dotted, all T's have been crossed. So, Laura Kunzberg of the BBC has had a lot to say about this, and I find her commentary quite interesting, actually. For the BBC, she's actually quite reasonable. She says it's only a matter of days. These days might matter enormously. That is the few days Parliament has before their next recess. Because the crucial and controversial political side effect is that MPs will have less time to try and change the law to stop Boris Johnson taking the UK out of the EU if he can't agree a new deal with Brussels by the end of October. This is intensely risky. MPs, including many senior Tories, have already been trying to find a way to take that option off the table. Again, we've done this before. Fearing the turmoil of a no-deal Brexit. It might embolden those who are trying to stiffen the spines of former Remain MPs looking for a way to block it. Maybe we're trying to rush through emergency laws next week, or maybe even by rapid vote of no confidence that could bring down the government. But Mr. Johnson secured his place at number 10 by promising he'd do what it takes to leave the EU on Halloween. This decisive and intensely risky plan will satisfy many of those who backed him, yes. But some others in his government are worried, moving now, even with the accompanying controversy, he sets the stage and the terms for an epic fight with MPs on all sides. Yes, indeed. Oh, there's next week in Parliament. I mean, I'll probably have to do another live stream to cover it all. But from next Tuesday onwards, I'm probably going to be eyes down the whole time on this. So it's going to be quite something. Interested to see what Caroline Stevens says to this. Anyway, Ruth Davidson had quit as the Scottish Conservative leader. I bet you she ends up joining the SNP. Laura Kunzberger said something else, actually. Let me find it. Here we go. Can the Rebel Alliance stop a no-deal Brexit? This being the case, it doesn't take long to find outrage around here, genuine or confected. That's very good. I'm surprised the BBC actually keep her on if she's going to say things like that. That's been the case for as long as the arguments about Brexit has been raging, longer than any of us might care to remember. But as one senior minister suggested tonight, for the rebels raged against Boris Johnson next week, being angry about the time they have in hand isn't going to achieve their goals. The thing for them is not to be outraged, it's to change the law. The thing is, they are outraged, aren't they? You can see it. They're just acting, like I said, like a bunch of little kids who can't have, they haven't had what they wanted for Christmas, and they're throwing the wrapping paper around. Within days, we will know if the MPs who are implacably opposed to leaving the EU without a deal can really do that. With lots of former ministers on the backbenches, the government, which is openly fighting against the possibility of leaving the EU without a deal, has a different complexion. And the opposition parties include the Labour leadership, which is engaged in next week's plan. There was a big and powerful diverse group rather than a handful of experienced backbenchers doing their best to get huge numbers of MPs on stage. The strange political rainbow that is a loose rebel alliance now ranges from conservatives like Philip Hammond at one end all the way through to Jeremy Corbyn on the other, from dark blue to dark red, taking in yellow, green and all sorts of other shades in the middle. Brexit continues to do weird things in the shape of our politics. They are united in their determination to make it impossible for the Prime Minister ever to take us out of the EU if he hasn't been able to agree a new deal with the EU or gets one that's approved by Parliament. What she means is that they're actually united by a way to make it impossible to leave the EU at all. That's the purpose behind it. To make a no deal impossible, then reject all the deals. Just slam all the doors except cancel Brexit. That's what they're trying to do. It's broadly held fear that leaving without formal arrangements in place could cause havoc politically and for the economy. Oh, save us from the zombies. But given Boris Johnson's main reason for success in the Tory leadership election was to leave the EU with whatever it takes by the end of October, it is a pretty major goal for a group of backbenchers and opposition politicians. Yeah, let's hope it is. It's not just about a tweak of policy here or there, but to put a block on a vital part of a PM's plan. To do it, they're essentially trying to pull off the same trick as before, yeah. Using emergency procedures, MPs took control of what gets voted on and discussed in the Commons and passed, by only one vote, a measure to force Theresa May to delay Brexit rather than leave with no deal. In truth, Mrs May was, by then, extremely unlikely to leave without a deal. But Boris wants a deal now, that's the thing. I think that's a big difference. But he wants no deal if he can't get a deal. Whereas Theresa May was just saying, oh, well, no, let's just do another deal. Oh, she was horrible, wasn't she? I'm not going to read what slug number 54 has said again. Let me carry on. This is just a more flannel, which I'll have to cover before. It's a chance for Mr. Johnson's backers to make an already familiar case that he's on the side of the people who just want what they voted for. Oh, right. Very candid, this woman. I don't want to be messed around by these pesky parliamentarians. I couldn't have put it better myself. But ministers will fight hard to win next week, for if they lose, it's a big rock in the Prime Minister's road for getting Brexit done. Stand by for the first huge showdown between the Prime Minister and Parliament, yes. Commons officially opens again for business next Tuesday, 2:30 p.m. British summer time. Yeah. If I wasn't working, I'd go and sit in the public gallery. Hey. Oh. So, does this change things about what I said in my live stream about Boris becoming Prime Minister? I think it does. I mean, I know I haven't seen what Caroline Stevens has said yet. I know she's got different ideas, but I don't agree with her on everything anyway. Is Boris the Britain Trump, as President Trump said? At the moment, he's looking like it, isn't he? I said he deserves a chance, didn't I? I said he deserves a chance. He's only getting one. Well, what he's done in the last few days, he's lived up to that. So far, he has really lived up to it. He has been bold, and he has been imaginative, and he's been committed. Whatever happens as a result of this, so far, he has really looked like he's on our side. If he is some kind of plant by the Zionists or the globalists or the whatever they are, whatever it is, Brussels-ists, then so far he's not doing a very good job. We'll see. As I said earlier, if it comes to a general election, which probably won't happen now before Halloween, the problem is, even after Brexit, we could get back. They could try and get us back in again. That is, there could be like a speedy return ticket. I'll say more about that later on another video. But he's going to need Farage's help. There's no doubt about it. And whether he goes, if he's willing to work with Farage or not, I think is going to be a big test of him. Anyway, I'm going to go to the notice comments now. Israel Diego Rivera Eugenio Lucentius Genius says, Boris Johnson has become dictator. He's a puppet of the Rothschild. Britain is no longer a parliamentary democracy. No, he's not become a dictator. He's working in accordance with the law. This prorogation is not a dictatorship. He's, in a sense, he's fighting back against the dictatorship of basically globalist infiltration. And what evidence do you have he's a puppet of the Rothschilds? What evidence? Britain is no longer a parliamentary democracy. It is, actually. I mean, in a sense that, well, as Winston Churchill says, it's the worst system in the world apart from all the others. Maybe it shouldn't be. Neptune Returns. I don't know if Neptune Returns is there. I'm sorry. He's just made a comment about the early start of this particular show. I'm sorry about that, but as I said, anyway. Steve071 says, yes, it's an out-of-left-field maneuver, but is it a pro-Brexit or a breaking Brexit tactic? This could be feisty. It is a pro-Brexit. It's definitely a pro-Brexit situation. I think it is. I can't see how this is some four-dimensional chess to make Brexit less likely. There's no way. I can't. If there is, there's no difference between it not being that and it being so impossible to unpick. So I don't think so. Tina Silver says she'll be there. Thanks, she is. Thanks very much for all that. And I'll go to the chat box. And I'm going to go back to the top, just get rid of some trolls, and then I will start. Then I will start answering your questions. Right, any trolls today? As I said, I can't. Some people have left questions for me. I can't. I've got to just de-troll and then meet you, and I'll start answering any questions. You might have to repeat some questions you've left for me. Are we going to have no trolls again? Hello, Neil Desperandum. Hello. A few more. Hello to everyone who's joined. Hello to everyone who's joined since I started. Neil Desperandum says, when Parliament abandons its representative role and instead becomes an activist group trying to thwart the democratic will of the people, then decision like this makes necessary correction. Yes, exactly. This is the whole point. There's nothing undemocratic about what the Prime Minister has done. Nothing at all. It's quite the opposite. Steve071 says, would they dare pull a false flag to keep Parliament open? Yes. I don't know if it'll be a false flag. I don't know what it'll be, but they may try to declare some kind of state emergency on the pretext of some kind of third-party situation. It might be some kind of terrorist attack, or it might be something else. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, look at Joe Cox. That was a pretty desperate and extreme situation, wasn't it? They knew that, well, it was botched anyway. If you watch the Rich Planet documentary, it was botched anyway, but they went ahead with it. But that was something they knew a lot of people would be able to see through, and they pulled it off anyway, rather like the Epstein suicide, because they were desperate. Tina Silver says, I was born in the Hall of the Mountain King. Were you? Oh, that's, yeah. Is that good or bad? Tink123, hi Tink. Mainstream media waiting for a bridge event. Yeah, something will happen. Someone asked earlier on if Epstein or Prince Andrew was one of it. No, he's not. But there could be something. I mean, don't be surprised if actually between now and the end of October we see something like. I mean, maybe because of the Epstein thing, we'll see, for example, a member of the royal family dying, a senior member of the royal family dying, possibly even the Queen herself. David Schultz, greetings from Maine. Hi, thanks for tuning in, David, from the other side of the pond. What a beautiful day here in Maine. I'm very pleased for you, very pleased. Just did the errands and it's 14:30 EST. Oh, right, so it's earlier for you. Yeah, I think you just missed a bit of my lead off, but I'm basically just talking about the parliamentary suspension we have here. Sounds like big time problems, like in the States. Yeah, it's pretty extreme, actually. I don't think there's no American equivalent to this, I don't think, recently. Videos from the underground. Evidently, Boris is not changing with the wind, as some have said. No, he's not. Exactly. His move is pretty bold and decisive. Yeah, get Brexit over with and stop Ramona's pulling more tricks. I honestly think that he really is doing that, and it seems like that does seem to be where he wants to go, and I'm 100% behind him. And I said earlier how I don't think this could end. This can't really end well for the government. I was explaining how, for example, I really want to see Brexit happen, as I said, for the reasons I explained, because it would be the good guys winning, the rational, the moral ones winning. But if it doesn't, if somehow the government is defeated next week, if somehow there's a vote of no confidence or there's some kind of legislation that stops Boris doing what he wants to get us out on Halloween, obviously I will cover that in another live stream. But I mean, my obviously I will be biting my nails and groaning like I was in April. But really, it would actually be very, very good. As awful as it would be, it would actually be very, very good from our perspective, because it would be. I think it would push the situation over the horizon of public apathy. People often are quite cynical in the truth movement about the general public and say, they're normies and they don't care about anything. But there's a limit to public apathy. And as I said in the 60s, the whole world is watching. Everything that's happening is going to serve as a political education for the population. Everything. When these ridiculous travesties of justice appeared, these completely unfair, bureaucratic, selfish, and anti-democratic things are done by our own MPs. Every time that happens, people see it and they learn. And I think there must be people in the government that know this. I think the EU know this, which is why I think that we shouldn't. If somehow they manage to scupper Brexit, I think, like I said, we're in the strongest position we've been now since the referendum. But if somehow they pull some dirty trick off, we must not despair. Do you know what's the worst thing that could have happened after the 2016 referendum? What's the absolutely worst thing? I'll tell you what's the worst thing. If the government say, okay, trigger Article 50, Article 50 is triggered, it all goes without a hitch, we're out by June 2018. And everything, that's it. They just shrug their shoulders and say, okay, we'll give you Brexit. That's the worst thing that could possibly have happened, because it would lull people into a sense of false security. In a sense, and that's something we've got to, if which is the most likely option right now, is that we get Brexit on the 31st. That's the most likely outcome, I think. But even then, I think we will have to be concerned. I will make this point in the video that I do, should that outcome occur, which I hope it does, that the dangers of a false sense of security as a result of what's happened. The thing is, if the nasty little Remainers scup up the Brexit process again and don't succeed, then I won't have to give that warning, will I? Because it's going to be very obvious to everyone. Diego Rivera says here that Boris Johnson is a personal friend of the Rothschilds. Which Rothschilds? I mean, it could be Lawrence Rothschild, who's really into UFOs. It's a personal relationship is not evidence, Diego Rivera. Tina Silver, Phil the Greek has not been seen since January. Perhaps he's in the freezer already. He didn't even go to the Royal Scot with the Greek. He didn't, has he? They keep making excuses for him since that car crash. Do you remember that car crash? I did a video about that. I got a feeling they didn't want him dying too close to Stephen Hawking's death. Wouldn't surprise me if he has snuffed it and they haven't announced it yet. The reason is because, like with Fidel Castro, they're going to wait for the right moment. But the truth is, they were worried, I think, that because when Stephen Hawking died, there was a large outpouring of public grief. It's really made me realise that Stephen Hawking was actually a very popular person with the British public. And, when he had his funeral in Cambridge, there were thousands of people lying in the streets. Not people who were scientists, just ordinary people. And what's going to happen when Prince Philip finally kicks the bucket? Who's going to give a shit? People just shrug. Cosmic Claire says, no, he's replying to Clotpipe there. No worries. Diego Rivera, this Boris Johnson, I think, he's the New World Order. Now, during my video, I did address the possibility that you were right. I addressed the possibility that Boris Johnson is simply a plant from the globalists. And I gave you the reasons why. Based on what's happened the last few days, that is looking less likely. You've got to admit that, Diego, you've got to realize that you must see, and you understand these things. I've watched your video about, you did a video the other day, which I watched. I thought was pretty good. You must see that not everything that happens, if something happens that looks like it's not against the New World Order, it doesn't mean that it is really secretly, but it's just deeper and more complicated. Otherwise, I have to ask you, by what criteria would you judge someone as not being in the New World Order? Steve071 says, how apt is the Halloween deadline with its dark satanic undertones? I know, Steve, I can't wait to see the memes. Can you imagine it? Can you imagine the alternative trick-or-treat parties? Tink says, yeah, talking about Trump. Yeah, exactly. Hugo Rune, hello, Hugo. Epstein was a bagman for the major Israeli, Saudi, US intelligence network that specializes in epic large-scale corruption. Yeah, I was looking interesting. Who was it? I was listening to an interesting radio show today. I was on my earphones. I'm lucky. I have one of these jobs where I can actually put earphones in and listen to things I want to while I'm working. So I'm lucky to have that kind of job. And I was listening to an interesting radio show where they were talking about the links with Epstein and Mossad and people like that. Mindset Central. Hello, Gareth. How are you? Thanks for joining. Interesting that Brexit is supposed to happen on Halloween. Yes, I do. That is amusing. As Steve071 was saying, that's both amusing and possibly significant. Tink123 says Epstein flew the planes for Henry Kissinger. Kissinger had teamed up with Reinhard Gehlen and worked forward. Reinhard Gehlen sounds like some kind of Nazi scientist. Now, Tina Silver says Kissinger. No, he was fucking her. Kissinger. Well, it wouldn't be surprising if Kissinger's a regular on Pedo Island. Tina, it really wouldn't. Oh, Jacob Rothschild. They're good friends to Jacob Rothschild. Yeah, the main backer of Israel. Well, obviously, it's like, I mean, what is actually Boris's connections to the Friends of Israel, which Tony Blair was very keen on. Do you remember that? This is like the equivalent of AIPAC in Britain is called Friends of Israel. I was looking into it because, unfortunately, the English Defence League seemed to have some people involved who were quite close to them. Armand Adams. Hi, Armand. He says, I got a feeling they're going to bump off Prince Philip. Well, yes, Armand. And as Tina was saying earlier, I think the bumping off might have already been done. It's just the publicising of that bumping off. I think there will be something is going to happen in the next 2 months. There has to be. It'll be something like Joe Cox. It may not be the same thing. Joe Cox was a false flag assassination, essentially, of an MP. As I said, there's many reasons. I mean, she was a backbencher. She wasn't a senior MP, but there's many reasons, as I explained, why I think Joe Cox was selected for this. Warren Buffett, yeah. I think rumours he had terminal cancer. Well, he may well have, I mean, but they could cure it if they want to. Tina, Kissinger's now 96. Yeah, bloody hell. I mean, it's like, when's that bastard going to die? How come the good guys? How could David Bowie, you know, Prince, Carrie Fisher, Keith Chegwin, what, 60, they were what, 58, 59, 60? All those people had to do was be evil and they could live twice as long. Sweeps Foxman, hi Sweeps. Well, I'll try again, Ben. Well, Sweeps, yeah, you need to try. As I said, I can't answer any comments left for me during the lead off because of I just have to de-troll, otherwise I don't have time. But he says, thumbs up, keep up the heat using good facts and stop the cultural Marxists, EU globalists. How many members of parliament have been blackmailed? The new leverage plus bribery. Well said, Sweeps, exactly. Yes, these are the people in parliament right now, the cultural Marxists, EU globalists. That's the people who the Ramonas are claiming have had their democracy threatened. They're the people who are trying to destroy our democratic rights. By suspending Parliament, the government is actually standing up for the people against these infiltrators. You could bet, Sweeps, I bet they've all been blackmailed. I mean, look at what Epstein was doing. You know, Epstein was probably making his fortune through blackmail, but you can bet they use these things for, as I said, for leverage, for controlling people. You can just imagine the guy who's like an up and coming star of the government or some corporation. He's invited to Epstein's island, and Epstein makes him welcome, sits down. They bring in the young girls, and the guy says, "Oh, wait." He says, "My goodness, see, Jeff, I'm not going there. Those girls are way too young." Epstein says, "Okay, no problem. Just help yourself to another drink and take a walk on the patio." And that guy says, "Okay." So he goes home. But guess what? That man who refused to shag the 14-year-olds, he goes home and he just suddenly finds that the promotion he applied for, he doesn't get. Well, he goes into the new job, you know, the better job in Congress or something, and he doesn't get it. Things like that. So good comment, Sweeps. Well done. I hope I see you again soon. I've met Sweeps a few times. Tink says, Kissinger and the Queen in their 90s as well. Yeah. I actually put a meme up. It actually has like it's a meme that shows like all these people who died. The people who died, the good people, the admirable people who died in their sort of late 50s, early 60s, as I just mentioned, you know, Keith Chegwin, Carrie Fisher, Prince, and all these other people, George Michael, etc., etc. And they said, "Oh, if only we'd been evil, we could think how much longer we could have lived." On the other side, I've got David Rockefeller and Henry Kissinger and Robert Mugabe and Prince Philip, and the caption underneath is, "Well, we tried to tell you." Yeah, I know. They're waiting for the right time, and there's going to be a huge switch in the power structure. Always when the monarch ends. Yeah. Well, we got Charles coming up in after the Queen goes, but God knows what's. There's something going on. As I said, this 2019 is the new 2016. David Lloyd. Hello, David. Are you the David Lloyd who used to comment on CMR? Are you the David Lloyd I met in Liverpool? Anyway, evening, Ben. I see Benjamin Fulford's talking about a possible world financial reset. Notes the dollar and euro getting closer and closer to the pound. That's right. We're reaching parity with both of them at the same time, which is odd, isn't it? It's an odd coincidence. What's more, there's all that gold China has, thanks to bloody that idiot Gordon Brown, or not idiot. And there's going to be a big currency reset. They're talking about it in Nexus magazine, which would probably put the Chinese yuan as the principal international currency rather than the US dollar. That's what I suspect. Tink says, exactly, child trafficking. And don't forget the insurance policy folder found on Anthony Weiner's laptop. Oh, God, yeah. Yeah, well, Anthony Weiner he's been found sending dirty text messages to a young girl. Good friend of Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton. It says it all, doesn't it? 123, Tink 123. David, gold and silver are rising. At the moment they are, yeah. But I talked about that on Caroline Stevens' show. Oh, it was to do with Greenland, because there's like there was this business where America was trying to buy Greenland from Denmark. I didn't think it was serious, but see, the United States bought Alaska from Russia. So it can be done, but apparently the Danes aren't for it and the Greenland people don't want it. But there's a lot of minerals there which are actually being kept, deliberately not being mined, because of the effect they would have on the price. Sidney Sheldon wrote a really good book actually called The Master of the Game, and it was made into a TV, an excellent miniseries about a guy who makes his fortune by breaking into a secret diamond mine and basically stealing the diamonds. These are diamonds that are deliberately not put on the market because they don't want to glut, which will deflate the price. This was the problem. I knew even when I was a little kid and I read the story of King Midas, I thought that if everything he touches turns into gold, what's that going to do to the price of gold? It's pretty useless. Gold just becomes a commodity, with a valueless commodity then, doesn't it? Oh, videos from the underground. Hello. Defeating cultural Marxism is the big challenge of the West. Yeah, Brian Gerrish told about it many years ago. He did indeed. Yes, he did indeed. Tink says Charles can't be king. Diana told us he was going to kill her, and that will come out too. I hope so. It's all about divine timing. I really hope so, Tink. Yeah. Robert Smith. Cheggers is dead. I'm sorry about that. He died at a pretty young age. Turva UK has written something in Greek. Let me just, I'm going to have to run that through Translate. It may be something I need to get out you need to delete because he might be a troll. I can't speak Greek, but I'm just going to check it. Detect language. Oh, hello, I think you're great. Oh, thank you very much, Turaviv UK. Thank you. I much appreciate that. Tink says, Greenland in POTUS tweets meant you look at the project Iceworm, which then links you to Conair. Yeah. It was a joke, was it? Project Iceworm. Now, who was it who sent me something about that? Project Iceworm is interesting. Project Iceworm is the creation of a base, a military base. Green is covered in American military bases. And one of them is in the tunnels under the ice. It's called Project Iceworm. And it's got everything down there. It's even got a church down there. It's a whole town under the ice. It was set up, I think, at the end of World War II, and it was closed now, officially closed, but we'd be surprised if it's still going. David Schultz says, so Ben, do you think now Donald Trump, what do you think now Donald Trump calling Boris Johnson Britain's Trump? Well, David, I think I did wonder at the time if you saw my live stream about Boris. I think he's much, much more likely to be Britain's Trump now than I did before. As I said, I was willing to give him a chance. I said he deserves to suspend judgment. Well, from what I've seen so far, he's looking like one of the good guys. It remains to be seen. I will pass final judgment on him when the Union Jack once again flies over this country and the gender study professor's apron is taken down for the last time. Then I think we can judge him for certain. But at the moment, I'm looking very positive about Boris. Very positive indeed. Yeah, Tina, I was very sad. Cheggers Plays Pop. Do you remember that? I used to watch that when I was a little kid. Come home from school. Cheggers Plays Pop. Cheggers Plays Pop, 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 pop. Yeah. Steve-O71. I've not watched Unidentified. I can't believe I've not done that. Yeah, I've not. The Unidentified TV show. I keep sending me links to it. Look, it's on Vimeo. Go and watch it, Ben. I'm like, yeah, I'll put it on my list of things to do, and I haven't done it. That's an oversight on my part. It really is, because it's such an important thing to watch, and I haven't watched it. Oh, dear. Funnily enough, I've watched the latest Mouthy Buddha video on UFOs. Mouthy Buddha has... he's a very interesting YouTuber, actually. He used to be alt-right, and now he's sort of more conspiratorial. And he's done excellent. They're very, very professionally made kind of cinematic videos, documentaries, and he's done a really good one. He's done a really good series on UFOs. And I've watched that, and that is bloody good. It's really good. Fenlander, hello, Fenlander69. Really hope we leave this time, bunch of ballans. Yes, precisely. Yeah. Yes, I think POTUS is working with Boris. Yes, Tink. I think he is. Robert Smith says, "Yeah, I'm sorry to break the news about Cheggers. I thought everyone knew. I really thought everyone knew. I'm sorry about that. Yeah." Hyundai Man says, "What's your thought in a mature topic on penis pumps?" Mature question, by the way. Hyundai Man, that is slightly off topic, isn't it? Gary Robertson, hello, Gary. The real Gary Robertson is in the house. Yes, except no cheap imitation. David Lloyd, yeah. Anthony Ween's married to Huma Abedin. Yes, Hillary Clinton's right-hand woman, who said to be shown that horrific video with a teen. Oh God, they were involved in that horrible artist thing where with blood and everything, wasn't it? What was it called? Oh, I can't remember what it was called. This horrible artist, some spirit cooking, whatever it's called. And then, of course, Anthony Weiner is sending dirty text messages to a 15-year-old girl. I mean, for goodness sake, I mean, how can a man who does that not ruin his career? How can he? Why doesn't that finish him politically? Richard Kinsit, do you remember when being a Eurosceptic was 4 or 5 on our wish list, and we kind of got along with pretty much everyone we knew? That had to end. But how, Mr. Cameron? Watch this video of you at the farm. Yeah, I mean, people say Brexit has caused division in the country, but no, it hasn't. Brexit has exposed divisions that already exist. There's a lot of division in the country along class lines, along racial grounds, gender, etc. It's true and these have been exposed by Brexit. David, I thought it was you. Nice to see you again. David and I'd met David. We go back a long way. Do you remember we were on that show, weren't we? And it never recorded properly. 2123 says, yeah. And bring in Virginia Robbins and Ethne Death is a mere stage setting, prelude to the film of all the films, Q, and it's going to be biblical. Remember Godfather. Yeah, I've done an article about QAnon because I know people don't agree. A lot of people don't agree. I don't object to people not agreeing. I'm good friends with Kev Baker. He doesn't agree. But I think Q is real. And I explain why in several of my publications, including some videos I've done here. Part of the reason I think Q is real is because Q is not a cause, but it's a symptom of the 2016 effect. If the 2016 effect had happened, I probably wouldn't be so likely to agree. But in a sense, Q is the Q insider is kind of what we would expect in a 2016 situation. We would expect someone to go online, surreptitiously influencing the dissidents on various dissident websites, which is what Q's been doing. John Nolan says, Colin Wolford is the alien autopsy go-to guy. He was on Kerry Cassidy's show again. He was indeed. I've just been watching it, actually. He was actually on my show as well, just beforehand, the Hapanwo show on Hapanwo Radio. I actually did it a little bit earlier so that the two wouldn't clash. So if you go to Hapanwo Radio, you'll hear another interview with Colin. Pete's Piggate. Piggate is to do with the Bollingdon Club, yeah. Anthony Morn says, I brought one of them penis pumps, couldn't fit my penis in it. Oh. Maybe this is a story for another live stream, Anthony, indeed possibly another channel. Tina, Marina Abramovich, yes, did the spirit cooking, yeah. Maria Abramovich, no relation to Roman, the Russian oligarch, owner of Chelsea, but yeah. Cosmic Claire says, there's a whole lot going on behind the scenes. Trump had something to do with the timing of May's resignation. No coincidence. Yeah, we got Boris. Do you remember how pleased Trump was when Boris became prime minister? And he's supporting him through this as well. He's even warned Jeremy Corbyn not to try and stick his stupid little oar in. Which is it's unusual for a president of the United States to address the leader of the opposition. The POTUS doesn't usually deal with anyone other than the prime minister of a foreign country. Trump has a very close interest in British politics. He's always been very pro-Brexit, and I think that's a good sign. You off, Anthony? See you then. Good luck with the penis pump. Tina Silva. In John le Carré's novel Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, the code name of the ultimate mole is Boris. Is that right? That's interesting. Now that is a classic, that one, John le Carré. Now, John le Carré was a real secret agent as well. I've been reading all about spies and things because of my new novel, and I've been finding them really interesting. I might even make some videos about it or something. But yeah, I mean, I was reading about John le Carré was involved in the investigation to Kim Philby, who eventually ended up defecting. Well, he was working as a KGB agent, as a double agent in Britain, and he defected. And John le Carré knew Philby. He knew all the Cambridge spies. Tink, well, we're all Q now. Did you see QAnon wrote an email to Lawrence on NBC saying that he had info that Trump had opened a bank account with Putin Russian oligarchs? Idiot read it out as a world. Is that right? I mean, was it the real Q? Because I mean, there are fake Qs. Also, Q's been silent. Q, see, since 8chan went down, Q has been. Where is it? Hang on a minute. Is QAnon? Because QAnon, of course, depending on 8chan, is he still silent? He, she, or they is still silent. Yeah, still August the 1st. They haven't. You see, we don't know. I think it's because we don't know who Q is and what's going on. There's a lot of MSNBC. Yeah, there's a lot of fake Qs. So sorting out for the wheat for the chaff has been interesting. A lot of the anti-Q people who, I don't. Some of them are all right. Some of them are not bad people. Some of them are like quite polite. Others are just idiots who they got this. I can see through the disinformation, but you can't pose us. You know that some of them are that. Mr. MT, The Guardian and its readers are on the verge of a breakdown. Some of their articles are disgusting. Yes, and they bloody deserve it, I'll tell you. I was listening to Morgoth hate reading The Guardian. I love Morgoth's hate reading The Guardian. Have you seen it? It's because he was reading Owen Jones. And Owen Jones is a horrible little sod. He really is. I mean, seeing as Owen Jones, he wrote a book called Chavs. That's how we first got into journalism, and it was actually quite a good book, I must admit. But it's the Chavs, the demonization of the working class. But then he sort of went from that to being a knob, basically, a complete squealer, as Morgoth calls him. Morgoth has this series called Hate Reading The Guardian, and the introduction to it is a sewer man in a protective suit climbing down a manhole into a huge blocked up sewer full of shit and immersing himself into it. That's kind of like that's symbolic of what Morgoth does when he's hate reading The Guardian. Tina Silva says the best John le Carré film is The Fourth Protocol. I think I've seen that one. My mum used to be really into John le Carré. She used to love the film adaptations with Alec Guinness playing George Smiley. All right. Look at on YouTube. So funny, not Q. I will check it up though, Tink. Okay. Tink123 says Q isn't back till the 5th of September. Is that because that's when before 8chan goes back up? I don't know. 8chan's been down for a while. John Nolan says, have you looked at the alien face on the South Pole that Linda Howe's been talking about? Yeah. Yes. What was that? I shared something about it on Twitter. Sorry, this. You may say, "Oh, I'm going off topic." Well, it's yeah. I mean, I'll talk about alien faces, all right? I'm just not going to talk about penis pumps. Oh, where was it? I've lost it now. Oh, it's on my profile. I was looking at the wrong bit. I posted it on Twitter, but Linda Martin, yeah, here we go. Mountain-sized grey alien face discovered in Antarctica. Now, this is really strange. I mean, it looks... Now, of course, everyone's going to say, it's pareidolia. But again, you're statistical ceiling, guys. You saw my skeptic talk? It looks rather like the alien that Dr. Jonathan Reed claims to have seen. Oh, I mean, I don't know what it is. I mean, it does, doesn't it? Yeah. QAnon, the people who speak are the people who speak to Q. That's who QAnon is. He, she, or they. No one knows. But Mindset Central. Do you think the UK is still on the path to totalitarianism, and will Brexit, if it happens, affect it? Mindset Central, Gareth. Yes, we are on the path to totalitarianism still. If Brexit happens, well, it'll be a major boost. It'll be a major obstacle in a part of that agenda. In fact, it's already an obstacle. In fact, I think if whether Brexit happens or not, it will definitely be a major obstacle. It is an obstacle, and it's going to be. Even if the Ramonas have their way over the next few days, it's unlikely, but they might be able to pull this off. It'll have probably an even more beneficial effect than if Brexit goes ahead. Either way, Gareth, we can't lose this one. We really can't. Sauna Leeselite. Hello, Sauna. Can I buy you a new MAGA hat, Ben? Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. Several people have made that offer after my incident in London a few weeks ago, where I had it unceremoniously snatched from my head by a bunch of smelly little violent little bullies. I've actually got two more. I've got two now, actually, because I bought a new one and someone else bought one for me. But so thanks. But I've actually got two MAGA hats now. But I appreciate the offer. Is it treason? Says Bojo. Brexit plan is all a fake plan. Get a better deal with no real Brexit. Boris is the hero. Boris is the hero. UK still foot. Well, I think that the actual original deal was a fake one. Yeah, definitely. The thing is, like, there's so much more going on. This is why I think we'll soon see again. This is going to be a test of Boris Johnson. He's passed the first test, but there's more. Is he going to address the common European defence policy? Caroline Stevens has been talking about this. Is he going to address that? Because that's going to stay on the statute books. Now, it does seem like there's been moves to repeal the Lisbon Treaty, but still the common defence policy has to be addressed. Otherwise, we essentially lose control of our armed forces, including our nuclear deterrent. And Brexit we will not be able to defend ourselves, because this could come to a military confrontation with the EU. I mean, don't be surprised. I mean, wars have been fought over less. And I used to be against Britain I used to be against the nuclear deterrent. Now, at the moment, I think it's something we can't afford to give up. I'd like to see us get rid of it, but right now, with what's going on, I think we're better off with it for the time being. Which is Tink123. Yes, they shut 8 channels. Yeah, the owner had to go and make a testimony that the third parties were back hacking and placing false info and data on the site. Looks like the demands of the Drayton shooter, and it was all fake. The thing about it is, Tink, having a go at people or doing investigations into people placing false information on 8chan is a bit like handing out speeding tickets at the Brazilian Grand Prix. This doesn't mean that everything on 8chan is fake, and 8chan is simply a hotbed of fake news. But you have to, everything you see on there, you do have to take with a pinch of salt. The staying power of QAnon comes from the fact that it has passed the usual tests that people experience with 8chan subjected to. Because people who use 8chan, they know this. They know how much bullshit is on there. It's kind of like, it's actually like the old David Icke forum, the original David Icke forum, which is one of the reasons David Icke disaffiliated himself for it, because the admins couldn't control the trolls. 8chan is essentially, it's like basically an internet site where the trolls just run riot. Now, the Drayton shooter, that's an odd thing, that Drayton shooter. This happened just a few hours after the El Paso shooter. We've heard hardly anything about the Dayton shooter. But he was talking, I didn't realize it was fake, because I know the El Paso shooter had some kind of manifesto, which is really nothing very original. It's the usual alt-right talking points. The Dayton shooter appears to have been a leftist. He was like, he'd actually been to Antifa meetings and things like that. But though we've heard hardly anything about that, because, of course, the media is very left controlled, and they're trying to make out that Trump is the only evil in the world and only people who support Trump are evil. So if someone goes out and shoots something for being anti-Trump, well, does not compute. Cosmic Claire says, is it treason? that is what Nigel is saying, but it could be a stick to beat Boris with, so we get a proper Brexit. It's Claire. At some point, Boris is going to have to deal with Farage. He's got to, because Farage is attracted a great amount of loyalty. He really has. I mean, most of the people have followed him from UKIP to his own party. Now, this is not. I don't want to denigrate UKIP. I mean, I don't want to denigrate it, but UKIP has made some enormous mistakes. I'm not saying UKIP are bad. I'm not saying Gerard Batten is a bad guy. I think he's a good guy. I like him. He doesn't have the charisma of Nigel Farage, but he's a calm, sensible, logical guy. But he made a huge mistake getting involved with Carl Benjamin. I mean, allowing Carl Benjamin to represent the party. Now, I'm not against Carl Benjamin. Sargon of Akkad, I love his YouTube stuff. But being things on YouTube is not politics. Sargon is very good at what he does on YouTube. And some of his videos are excellent. But his behavior is not appropriate for a political candidate. And he was easy meat for the media. And I think what he did to Jess Phillips was a big mistake. And I think it was immoral. And I'm not saying that because I'm a fan of Jess Phillips, and I think that she's some poor victim, and all that sort of rubbish that she's milked it. Jess Phillips has milked this dry, and I'm not a fan of Jess Phillips. But in a sense, the only reason she had all this victimhood cred that she's been enjoying is because Sargon gave it to her. And of course, what happened at Radnor? The UKIP candidate finished behind Lady Lily the Pink of the Monster Raving Loony Party. They got less than 100 votes less. And basically, entire branches have defected to the Brexit Party. I mean, the good news is that the Brexit Party essentially is the new UKIP. So whatever happens, there is the equivalent. UKIP has not gone away. It's just essentially gone with Nigel Farage. Tink says EU will not take on the USA. Tink, I mean, I'm hoping that if it does come to the risk of some kind of war, I mean, the good news is, I mean, it's awful. I mean, I hate nuclear weapons, of course, but the presence of nuclear weapons means that wars of the scale that used to happen can't happen anymore, because we've just become too good at killing. The anti-war argument is no longer a moral one; it's a purely practical one. We've known this since World War I, and the use of gas and things like that, and the trenches and millions who died in the trenches. It's even more obvious now. But I mean, if we could have the military clout of the USA on our side, and the good news is Britain has a huge military, by far the largest of the EU, and the largest, well, soon not the EU, which is another good reason, which is why we don't want it under the control of the European Central Command. And this is something that Boris has to do. And Caroline Stevens is absolutely right. We can't say we've got a proper Brexit until that has happened. And Boris so far has not said anything about that. He deserves a chance, but he's got to do it soon. Or maybe he has a plan and he's going to do it. I hope so. He might be like Trump, because every time someone says, "Oh, Trump's he's failed to do this, he's failed to do that," then Trump suddenly comes forward and boom, you realize he has been doing it all along. He's incredibly clever, Trump. Cosmic Claire, Q has some deliberate disinfo, but has had too many hits to be just. Yeah. The reasons why I think Q was real are manyfold, and I've gone into it in a video. Now, I've been in a debate with someone actually on the comments section of the article I recently wrote about Q, and they're just doing like a big gish gallop on me. And I think it's I have a feeling the next post is going to be like a big. It's going to be the divorce papers where they just call me names. So I have looked at both sides of this, and will continue to do so. And I think Q is real. And of course, there's the disinfo. I mean, 8chan, as I said, is a hodgepodge of trolls, but in a sense, Q is kind of a signal within the noise. Otherwise, it would just been dismissed. David Schultz, have you seen the film Idiocracy? Yes, it's hilarious. It's really funny, but of course, it does have a worrying. It is satirical, the Idiocracy, because it makes a good point. The average IQ of the human race in most countries is dropping. And there's several reasons for this, and it's got a lot to do with, well, partly it's to do with with immigration. I mean, that's true, because I mean, it is politically incorrect to say, but it's factually true that an average IQs varies across the world, and it seems that countries which have an average lower IQ are where the immigrants are coming from, and they're moving. And the countries which have an average higher IQ is where they're going. And that's not, as I said, to judge individuals. This is average IQ. So that's one reason. But another reason, of course, is to do with education. Is to do with the fact that, what was it George Carlin said about education? He said, you got a pen, you're in university. And it's also to do with chemicals. It's chemicals and electromagnetic warfare, which is very much overlooked by most people who investigate these things. But the effect of electromagnetic weapons, especially on children, and of chemical warfare on children, this is to do with additives to soft drinks and sweets and things like this, that knocks quite a few IQ points off people. So, and of course, as the film Idiocracy shows, it seems like the lower your IQ is, the more likely to have large families, unfortunately. Which means there is a dysgenic kind of effect here, whereby the dumber people are reproducing more, and according to Darwinian laws of evolution, it means that the intelligence of the human race is going to go down. So it's a funny film, but of course it has serious connotations, doesn't it? Tink123, one of the shooters, father of the therapist, and linked to John of God. Which one? El Paso or Dayton? Cosmic Claire says, what I was saying about Nigel is that he is saying Boris will sell us out with Brino. Is that Brexit in name only? Yeah. So he's pushing Boris to go full. Yes. He's right. He's absolutely right to, Claire. Because Boris is still trying to seek a deal from the EU. Boris has promised no deal if necessary, but he's still trying to seek a deal from the EU. Now, EU were originally saying they wouldn't negotiate at all. Then they said they wouldn't negotiate without a divorce bill of 39 billion. And now so it seems like the EU are softening up. The thing about Boris needs to get a much better deal than the one Theresa May has, and he has to get Parliament to approve it. But if he can do that, and it's a good deal, fair enough. But the problem is, will it be a good deal? If it's not, then we can't go half measures. Nigel's right. We have to push him towards a proper Brexit. Videos from the Underground says, wasn't it Ted Heath's fault that you all been put in the EU? It was supposed to be just a trading club at first, but eventually became the real motive. Yeah, they want the EU army, yes. It was always meant to be a federation. Tony Benn warned us about this in 1971 when they decimalised the currency. He said it's going to be the United States of Europe. They're just telling you it's a common market for now, but they're going to add more and more things onto it. It is the creation of a federation by stealth. It's not like the United States was created openly in a single measure by the Declaration of Independence and the Bill of Rights. The European Union was created in small incremental steps. The plan was hatched in 1920 by Richard Count von Coudenhove-Kalergi and his Pan-Europa movement. So it's 100 years in the making. They're patient, these people. They're patient. But they said, I mean, it's even in the bloody book. I've not read the whole book. I've read a bit of it. They actually said we cannot just announce this to the people. We have to do this slowly and carefully. We have to bring it in. So we have to. I think that we have to tunnel in under their feet. I think was the analogy he used. Well, that's what we've seen. We'd start the Treaty of Brussels, 1946. The treaty of the next one, which I think was 1965, and of course the Maastricht Treaty, the Lisbon Treaty, etc., etc., the Constitution. It's all been done slowly but surely, bit by bit. And Ted Heath did put us in the EEC. He did it. It was only the referendum came afterwards. It was a retrospective referendum, and that was Jim Callaghan who said, "If you vote against it, we will." Was it Harold Wilson? If you vote against it, we'll pull out. But people, unfortunately, voted for it because they didn't believe Tony Benn and the others, and they said, it's all right, it'll be fine, it's just a common market. And you know who else was calling out against the EEC in 1974 when the referendum took place? You know who else was against that referendum? It was a young Labour full-timer from Islington in London by the name of Jeremy Corbyn. And 45 years later, he's leader of the opposition, and he's calling for cancellation of Article 50. Tink says, and what's with Ted Heath, who compromised by German DVD intelligence, as we all know where we are today because those people are all compromised, the FBI Louis Mountbatten files. You've been reading Michael Shrimpton, haven't you? The Germans did it, yeah. But actually, that's absolutely true. And you know, one of the first journalists to actually speak out about Ted Heath was David Icke. And no one has thanked him or apologized to him. Cosmic Claire says, when they call you names, you have won. Exactly. Claire, that's what I really want to see Brexit just for that reason alone. So the people who call names lose. The people who do the name calling lose. Mindset Central, average world IQ is 85. That's correct, Gareth. Is that the average? That could well be, but I know in some countries it goes high. For example, you get into Europe and North America, it's up a bit. I think it's close to 100. You go to Southeast Asia, and it's over 100. I think it's 102, 103. I think that the brightest people in the world on average are, I think that's Japan or Korea, the Koreans or Japanese. However, that's average. I mean, there's plenty of Japanese morons, plenty. There's also plenty of Congolese geniuses. It's just the average. That's the thing, and of course it's plummeting. It's being reduced. At the moment, it's 85. It's going to go down through what I said, through reproduction effect, but also through electromagnetic and chemical warfare. The truth of the matter is the government don't want intelligent people to govern. They want idiots. Because we know from people of a low IQ are they're more inclined to believe what's the propaganda. They're more inclined to be opposed to free speech. I mean, Stefan Molyneux did a program about this where there was opinion polls of people of different IQs. What do you think about free speech? The lower the IQ, the more people were against free speech. Low IQ people tend to be very conformist as well. They tend to be intolerant of eccentricities of others, quirks and things like that. So you get more uniformity of culture with a low IQ population. Everything the New World Order wants. Tink says, very true. Love to know the people behind Q. I hope we do one day. I hope we find out who's behind Q. One top artist came out last week and said in time Pope's presidency was seen as a masterpiece. Yes, you know, Jay-Z. Jay-Z, I know I slagged him off, and I think his rap, his hip hop's rubbish, and I'm not a fan of his music, but he is pro-Trump. He's really pro-Trump, but he said some really amazing things about Trump. And he's been really hated on by the media. He's a black man too. So he's been called, they call him Uncle Tom, and they say he's a traitor and things like that. But he's standing his ground. Is it treason? Says people are so fed up with the same old. Yeah, Trump and Brexit. Well, you know, exactly. As I said at the beginning, it's not boring, is it? I mean, let's just face it. Like if Hillary Clinton had won in 2016, and if we'd said yes to the EU and yes to remain, it would just be another day at the office, wouldn't it? My friends and family now agreeing with my once outlandish views that drip effect is going to tip our way. I think it may be the 100th monkey thing, as Cosmic Claire will tell you about that. But I think it may be the 100th monkey thing, Tink. Oh, sorry, is it treason? I've not, unfortunately, said, well, my father, as I said, is completely intractable on this. And that's caused some friction between us. Not for that reason alone, but yeah. A mindset central, average IQ worldwide, Asia 105, Anglo-Europeans 100, Africa 70. So yeah, it varies from place to place around the world, and quite considerably. And what you find is that it's dropping everywhere, though. It's dropping all over the world. And at the moment, they're trying to. There's this one of the reasons maybe the population shift is from low IQ, average IQ places to high average IQ places, is for this purpose of dumbing down the population. Cosmic Claire, which book, Kalergis? Pan-Europa, Claire. Paul Armstrong. Hello, Paul. The Asians are canny brainy like. Yeah. No, Paul, the way you word that is unfair. Okay, Paul has just said something quite, I think, is unfair. It's physically, okay. it is literally true what you said, but by wording the way you do, you imply that everyone in low IQ countries has an IQ of 70 or lower. That's not true. In fact, in the book The Bell Curve, the authors actually make that point. They say in a population of I think of a population of 5 million people with an average IQ of 70, there are 120,000 people with an IQ of 120, which means there's no shortage of brain boxes in low IQ countries. No shortage at all. It's just the average is lower. And this is, I think I mentioned this previously. I think I did it it was in my review of Black Panther, because Molyneux was talking about how you can't have a productive civilization in any country where the average IQ is lower than 90. But I said that's a contradiction because it doesn't take into account the Pareto principle, which he himself has been talking about. So I think that's not fair, Paul, what you just said. Tink says, Fourth Reich, more life. Through the back door. Yeah, as Reagan warned us, fascism will come in the form of liberalism. Exactly, Tink. They dress it up in a nice package, so we don't realise it's happening. Sonia White. Hello, Sonia. What is IQ? That is measured by intelligence tests. Yeah, it's intelligence quotient. I mean, there's different kinds of tests that people do. I mean, it's something big in the States. I mean, we don't have them very much over here in England. I don't think my IQ was ever tested in Britain. I don't think my IQ was ever tested in school. Tink says, David Icke is great. Yes, he is. Trump 2020, says Claire. Yes. Oh, that's another thing coming up, isn't it? And another damn election. I mean, I hope it goes Trump's way. Edwardian Lady says, Congolese geniuses, really, Ben? Yes, Edwardian Lady. Small in number, but there. Yeah, when you take into account average, and then you have excesses of either end. As I said, there's also Japanese morons as well. Check out the book The Bell Curve. Tink says, can't wait for Brexit. All the libtards and snowflakes are going to have a breakdown. Yeah, I will get some amusement from that. I really will. Yes. I mean, we're talking about Boris derangement syndrome. We've had Trump derangement syndrome. We've got Boris derangement syndrome. They are really literally triggering themselves to death. And it's amusing because they have just basically, it just shows their immaturity, their weakness. It really does. Diego Rivera, Boris is not the New World Order. He's not. I don't agree with you. I think at the moment it's looking good for Trump at the moment because the Democrats can't get their head together with any candidate because they haven't got any decent ones. They've got Joe Biden, who everyone hates. They've got Alexandria occasionally courteous, who is an utter bitch. And Trump very cleverly forced Nancy Pelosi to defend Cortez because of Trump's supposedly racist tweet. And that was deliberate. Trump did that on purpose to force the Democrats into this unified position to make themselves look less attractive. Diego Rivera, do I support Israel? No, I don't. I've got nothing against the concept of a Jewish nation in the Middle East, but Israel is not it. Please read Gilad Atzmon and Ilan Pappé and these other people and Norman Finkelstein. They're all Jewish writers and they've all said this. Richard Kinzit, poor Japan, the first sacrifice to Satan. Chris Busby's tested car filters in Tokyo. Horrendous fallout from Fukushima, is it? Yeah, I mean, it's like Chernobyl, isn't it? Stephen, hello, how are you? Oh, Diego, it sounds like you become a Zionist with support for Trump and Boris. Honestly, Israel Diego Rivera, where does this obsession with Zionism come from? People are Zionists if they don't do A, B, and C, and you don't have a criteria for judging people. You really don't. Sonia, who sets the intelligence test? I don't know exactly how IQ tests work. I really don't. I'm not sure. Israeli Diego Rivera says, would you call yourself a genius, Ben? Oh, of course, Diego Rivera. But everyone thinks they're a genius, aren't they? As I said, I've never had my IQ tested. I don't know. Oh, I don't know. David Schultz says the universe consists of 5% protons, 5% neutrons, 5% electrons, and 85% morons. Frank Zappa. Yeah, it's frustrating, isn't it, David, when you see people falling for things like that. When you see people phoning into various talk shows and saying, well, the zombies are going to rise from the graves and Godzilla's going to crush us all if we have a no-deal Brexit. And I thought, you've just read this bullshit on TV, in the papers, and you're believing it. We're supposed to be the nation of heroes, and we rise like lions from our slumber, and we're so easy to frighten. It's sad, isn't it? Claire says the highest IQ people from high IQ people from low IQ population going west, lowering the average. Yeah, it's the brain drain. Yes. At the same time, lowering the IQ of their home populations because the higher IQ people have left. Claire, yeah, the brain drain has affected a lot of countries over the years, including Britain. Now, that's a worrying thing for those particular countries. And indeed, it doesn't affect the global average IQ, but it does affect the IQs. It obviously affects the well-being of the countries that are being left behind. And that's a bad thing. And combine that with an attack on IQ everywhere, an attack on mental abilities of all people, it's a disaster. Sonia White, I'm sorry, I don't get you. What do you mean then? Perhaps you could clarify. Tink says, exactly. Have you seen the videos of tribes people building houses with pools, etc.? It's outstanding. Puts us all to shame. What's that exactly? What do you mean? Closet Clay, yes, he trolled the Democrats bad. Gareth says, while Asia has a high average IQ, they have a low percentage of genius. Hence, there are very few breakthroughs and movements forward culturally and technologically. Someone has said this. Intelligence is not the only factor by which we judge a person's mental proficiency. So IQ is not the only axis we need to look at. We need to look at innovative personalities and cultures. And someone made this point that even though the East Asians absolutely excel in technology, they tend to have to borrow from they tend to have borrowed from, say, European and American inventions. And this indicates they are low on the scale of innovation, even though they have a high IQ, average IQ. It's interesting that, very interesting. There may be other nations which have a lower average IQ, but are very innovative. Oh, are you in your tent, Stephen? Oh, wrap up warm, right? Yeah. Tina Seals, not all Jews are Zionists. Correct. Oh. Sauna says the vehicle driving in this country is getting more moronic. This is a good barometer. IQ is getting lower, like the film Idiocracy. The people drove their cars. Oh, yeah, that's funny, that wasn't it? Tina, was Jimmy Savile's in Mensa? Oh, I bet Mensa are keeping that quiet. Cosmic Claire, IQ is a test for spatial, temporal, mathematical, and linguistic problem-solving tests. Maybe I could do an IQ test. I don't know. Paul Armstrong says Ben will be 130 plus, I reckon. See, I was hopeless at school. I really was absolutely hopeless. As a school, if you judge a person's result in education, then my IQ is probably low because I was hopeless at school. I hated school. So Paul reckons it's 130. I don't know about that. Sonny White, 95% morons. Yeah. Diego Rivera says the biggest secret is we're all geniuses. Well, maybe in a spiritual way, yeah, you could say things like that. Yeah. Green Sky 17. Hello, Green Sky. Question: should people that is a union membership, should they cancel their payments to the Labour Party? I know there's plenty of trade unions that have disaffiliated to the Labour Party. I used to be a trade unionist, actually. I saw through it very quickly, actually. But when I started in portering, I was a trade unionist. Luckily, I didn't stay in for long. I've got nothing against the principles of trade union membership or anything. I was a member, but they're just so bloody new left. It's unbelievable. They're like a gender studies course at university. They're horrible. They're awful like that. And if they've got any sense, they'll cancel their payment, their affiliation, definitely. The People's Poet, hello. Feminism is the panzer tank of divide and rule that the pedo elite use against us. Yeah, that's a good analogy. It's a horrible thing, isn't it? Video says Kurlagi should have been a Fabian. Over here, they're crashing the border, plus thus creating the North American Union the hard way. Yeah, there is a plan for the equivalent of the European Union all over the world. NAFTA is going to evolve into the North American Union. The Organization of African Unity has already evolved into the African Union. It's already called the African Union. And the sad thing is, every state in Africa, there's 55 nation states in Africa, more than any other continent. They've all signed up for it. That's a very, and it's quite well advanced. Tink says POTUS has set it up to run against Pocahontas, and a hell run rings around her. It'll be a good show. Is that a nickname for AOC? Or Elizabeth Warren, who claims to be a Red Indian? Is it treason? I wonder what the ancient monument builders' IQ would have been judged as. Them idiots couldn't have invented the wheel. Haha. They were geniuses. They were obviously extremely innovative and very intelligent. Sonia White, just like the old 11 plus. That's when they used to go to grammar school, didn't you? And secondary modern. That was done away with by the time I went to school, but this wasn't a bad idea. Diego, what about Eric Cantona? Is he a genius? He was a good footballer. Obviously he lost his temper easily. He's a Frenchman. Stephen, they're different types of intelligence. That's true, Stephen. Yeah. Cosmic Claire says East Asian culture is very conformist, which penalizes the outlier, so they have fewer children in evolutionary terms. Yeah, unfortunately, Claire, they are. People I know who've worked in Japan. They say they don't tolerate non-conformism very well. I myself, as a non-conformist, probably wouldn't go down very well there. Not because of anything bad I did, but because simply certain lifestyles, which is creating no injured party, but are just very, very different. They just don't like things that are different. And things I noticed in Britain, unfortunately, I saw the same thing at my hospital. Oh, Tina, I'll try doing the online Mensa test then. Sonia White says, madness is only a forgotten way. When you were in trade union, did they come for you? When you were trade unions? Oh, yeah, they didn't. Past the NIMOL, that rule didn't apply. Probably because I was only really hardcore for about a year. Then I got fed up with it. Sauna, does being good at spelling mean you have a high... I don't know. Stephen says, I've seen a Masonic symbol on a trade union banner. Yeah, they have a lot of those. Tina Silver says the wheel was no good on the sand. That's interesting, isn't it? Yeah, because it's not just intelligence that relies on invention. It's necessity. Inventions will happen if they're needed. I mean, some people have said about Africans. Some people have said, well, look, I mean, it's true, as someone was pointed out earlier, their average IQ is low. But someone said, look at them. They can't even build a house with more than one floor. So they can't build anything with an upstairs, and that's a sign of low intelligence. Actually, it's not. Firstly, it's cultural, but also it's the fact that in traditional African societies, they have the combination of quite a low population and a vast area to use. So they basically, the reason they don't build very tall buildings is because they don't need to, because they have all the space in the world. And in fact, we see this everywhere. I mean, if you go to London, a big city, you will see lots of very tall buildings. If you go to a little village, you'll see nothing more than 1 or 2 stories high. Why? Space. Tall buildings comes from having a small amount of space. So that's another. So there are other explanations for some of these things that need to be taken into account. Judging by the work of Adam, what's his name? Salinger. God, I've forgotten his bloody name now. Not Salinger. What's his name? The South African guy. In sub-Saharan Africa, there are signs that there was a high culture there in prehistoric times, which indicates that they are people of enormous intelligence and innovation, like Adam's wheel. What's his name? What's the name of that bloody bloke? The guy who found the giant footprint in the rock. Someone tell me what's his name. Not Salinger. What's his... Thanks, Tina. Michael Tellinger. Yeah. What he's discovered about Africa is amazing. It matches some of the things that Credo Mutwa was talking about. People's Poet. I've read pots of bucks. David Schultz. The dummy down with the masses. Geoengineering, vaccination, fluoride, GMOs. Yeah, everything is designed to turn us into very low intelligent, conformist, easily governed people, frightened people who eventually the plan is for us to be not even be human at all and just be like the epsilons in Brave New World. Subhuman monsters that just live for 20 years and just can do basic jobs. Diego Rivera, what about Oriental women? Have you considered that option, Ben? What, as a wife or girlfriend? No, no, I haven't. Sonia White says, all right. Yeah. Funny enough, Sonia, girls and boys have different strengths and weaknesses in education. It's interesting that girls do better at some subjects and boys do better at some subjects. I've been having an argument with people about, it's basically with the anti-Larry Warren trolls, about women in ufology. It goes along that line because they're saying it's because of evil, discriminatory people, and they attack a certain person who's a conference organizer. And I've explained to them, no, it's not. You're making that up. Paul says, why we take an IQ? This is supposed to be a Parliament special. Well, I said any related subjects, Paul, but if people want to ask me more questions about the subject of tonight's live stream, that's absolutely fine. But I did say any other subject. I did say we could go on into other subjects if you wanted to. Tina, that's another good point. In Africa, it's too hot to have high-rise houses. If you don't have air conditioning, yeah. Sonia White, English spelling is nothing other than casting spells. It's odd, isn't it, Sonia, that we use the same word, don't we, spelling, for writing words correctly. Ellis Taylor makes that point. What do you mean I'm flashing, Stephen? Who's flashing? I'm not. Hi, Lime Specs. How are you? Diego Rivera. I walked past an English white bloke's house today, aged around in his 50s, had this huge English flag on his house, and he's married a woman from Thailand. Oh, right. Well, good for him, you know. Just because someone is white and proud to be English doesn't mean they're going to be, they're not going to find women of other races attractive. So I think the SJWs always think that people like him would be some kind of table thumping racist. That's how they like to portray us, don't they? Sauna says, I think Boris has hit them with a death blow and they're left throwing the biggest and last tantrum they ever will. I hope so, Sauna. That's what I hope it will be. But Boris now has control of Brexit. What will he do with it? That's the question, Ben. Yes, I think Boris knows what he's doing. Obviously, he's thought this through. He is very, very with it. And like I say, he'll have checked this with the Attorney General. He's a very cunning man. He's got a lot of experience in politics. I think he's done with the timing and the method that he's used it is specifically to take control of the Brexit process away from the anti-democratic forces that have invaded Parliament. What happens next is what we will see. What will he do with it is the question we'll have to answer at another time. Tina, I see. Yeah, it's the camera. The camera. It's to do with the camera I'm using. I think it keeps flashing. I don't know why. Hey, Diego, at Heathrow, you have no EU passport control now. Well, Diego, hopefully that's a good sign. That means that someone has sent the word down behind the scenes that it's definitely going ahead. Brexit is definitely going ahead. Regina Lamb. Hello, Regina. How are you? My screen's flashing. Yeah, okay. Cosmic Claire. I think it's to do with my camera. All right, Stephen. Yeah, it happened again just then, didn't it? I think it's something to do with the camera. And the way, yes, he's doing it again now. It may be something to do with focusing and the focusing on the exposure of the camera. Sonia says this programming of Parliament is an insignificant hoot. I don't think it is, Sonia. I think it's very significant. I think this could be this. I think it could be the most significant thing that's happened for years. And in terms of the Brexit process, it is the most significant thing since the 2016 referendum. David Schultz, Aldous Huxley's Brave New World and George Orwell 1984 were right on the money, and we're living through it now. Yes, they're the two almost textbooks of the modern age in fictional form. And an anecdote that probably everyone knows now is that Aldous Huxley was George Orwell's school teacher. Neptune returns. Hey, Neptune, I'm glad you made it. Hope the dogs are all right. MK Ultra Mind Control. What is? Yeah. All right. See you then, Gareth. It all depends on my brother, like I said, but I hope to be able to make the show on Sunday. Regina, yes, I live in Oxford. Stephen, it's not the aliens, I promise you. It's not the aliens. I've got to take a little break, guys. I'll be back in a minute. Galaxian says, all those unused machine gun bunkers from World War II might come in handy while defending against the EU army. Yes. But that's not an alien face on the wall behind me. That's Diego Rivera. That is it's my fault, actually. I had a little accident there, and I broke some wallpaper. Right, I'll answer you. I'll just be off in a moment. I'll be off, and I'm coming back. Stay where you're sitting. Let me just check something, actually. Oh. I'm supposed to be going to visit someone, and they're not in touch with me, so looks like that's off. All right, sorry. I'll be back in a moment. Play amongst yourselves. I actually got a bottle of wine, and so I decided I'd drink some. I was going to wait till afterwards, but now where were we? Yeah, so I just thought I'd have a bit of wine. I know I say I don't drink when I'm doing videos, but what the hell? Got something to celebrate, haven't we? Cosmic Claire, where it said, don't forget C.S. Lewis, that hideous strength which inspired Orwell for 84. Yeah. We talked about that, didn't we? When we get you back on Panamo Radio, Claire, we'll have to talk about that, because I've been meaning to contact you about doing another show. But the very interesting relationship between Lewis and Orwell, and about how Lewis was written books, Orwell's reviewed them, and he said a lot of interesting things about them. Obviously, they were on a very different wavelength, with Lewis being on the spiritual matter, certainly, but. Yeah, I mean, it's no I mean, you could explain it because I'm a fan of both of them. Regina says we live near Farnham Royal here. Is that the hospital? Farnham, right. Prorogering. It's just prorogering. That's a Sonia. You may be the first person to come up with that joke. Prorogering. Yes. Stephen, it's not curry. It's something else. I don't want to talk about it. All right, I was just being stupid. Neptune. It's off to ring MI5. I always had my suspicions about you. I'm reading about spies at the moment, so I'm sort of like on my guard. Yes. Need to pay him better. Yeah. I do have a Masonic floor. Yeah, checkerboards things. Yes. Paul Armstrong, Ben's a Masonic plant. Oh, just because it's honestly, when that floor was put down, I didn't even live in this room. I lived in another smaller room. Yeah. Of course I have a floor, Sonia. Otherwise I'd fall through to the ground, wouldn't I? Cosmic Claire, it's not the wall, but there's a face on the bed. Oh, right, and my bedclothes, yeah. I think that's the Arrow Man who's come to haunt me when I'm asleep, which could explain the strange dreams I've been having. Jay Griffin, what porn videos? You mean my DVD collection? No, I have not. Hugo Roon, I've just skinned up. Anyone join me for a spliff? Hey, nice one, Hugo. I saw your comment about that, about your time in hospital. Yes, I did reply to you. PG, everyone goes on about what tea I drink. Yeah, PG tips. Is that New World Order? Do I have to drink Thai food to show that I'm anti-New World Order or something? Yeah, Regina, he drinks PG tips. Conspiracy says that. Yeah. Sorry, Tina, I can't pass you a glass down the camera, but if you've got one in the house, have one for me. Paul Armstrong, Ben's headboard looks like Bungle from. It does. Oh, that's the face. Yeah. That's great. It does, doesn't it? Yay. Is it treason says, you're too trusting, Ben. Boris is playing a game. If he really threatened the establishment, he would be finished. Right. This is can't you see it, Ben? Everything's fixed. Everything's disinformation. If this disinformation is the disinformation of the disinformation. But then, is it treason? Have you seen my video, Why 2016 Matters? I explain why. I don't think I'm too trusting. I explain exactly why I hold this position. If you want to comment on that video, you think I'm wrong, feel free to comment on there. But I have to ask you, by what criteria would you accept that the tide turned against the New World Order? What would have to happen for you to accept that? Because otherwise, the New World Order can never be seen to end. Because at the moment we have a situation where it does look distinctly like there's a snafu in the engine room for the New World Order. If this is just another deeper part of the conspiracy, then are we going to be in the post-Illuminati world for 6 decades? And people like you will be poking your heads around corners going, good God, aren't they crafty? Yeah, Stephen, the blackened, it's actually tiles. It was put in here before I moved into this house. This used to belong to someone called Jelly. A guy called Jelly used to have this room. He moved out, and I moved into this room for no extra rent, even though it's a bigger room, which is nice. Galaxian. I did actually knock some of them over, but I've got a lack of space in here, and I've got all these DVDs, books, and things. You can't see my bookshelves from here, but I've got a huge pile of books, like just piled on top of each other over in that corner. I just don't have anywhere else to put them. So it looks like a Jenga game, but it's actually simply where I'm storing them. It's a way of storing them. Yeah. Is it treason? There's a story behind the Silver Dunce's cap. Watch my Dreaming Saucers videos. David Shaw. I've told you about the Masonic floor. It's not a Masonic floor. I'm glad you got a beer, Regina, whatever it is. That means queen, doesn't it? Yeah, the 1984. That's a red pill and a half, isn't it? Tina, I can't do a live stream on the 31st of October because I'm going to be in London that day. I'll be celebrating or protesting, depending on what happens. Hopefully, I think it's looking more likely to be a celebration. I hope it will be. Diego, they are pyramid-shaped tea bags. Does it? I don't know if it actually makes any difference. These pyramid-shaped tea bags. I think it's just a bloody gimmick. It's a sales gimmick, changing the shape of them. Do you remember they used to be square, and then they made them circular, then they made them pyramidal? I think it's just. I don't think it makes any difference. Is it treason? I have 10 Frey Bentos pies and 16 tins of beans and sausages. Right, okay, after the world's ends, after Brexit. No, you won't be, is it treason, because you need your zombie killing gun as well. Because remember, after a no-deal Brexit, the dead will rise from the graves. So get your zombie killing gun, watch Night of the Living Dead as homework, and then you'll be okay after the world ends, after Brexit. Cheers, Sonia. David, what kind of demons are they? I suffer from sleep paralysis, and sometimes I see like dark cowled figures. I've seen the hag as well. They haven't actually harmed me, but they just stand there and look at me. I think I did a video about that. Frey Bentos, Sonia, are these pies you get in cans. Cosmic Clay, exactly. It's been going wrong for the New World Order since 2016. Exactly, yes. Stephen, I have been worried about psychic attacks and satanic attacks. Did you see my video, Still Ill? I talk about that. Diego Rivera, I know he's a member of the Bullying Club, and I know that is a concern for us. But it's you can't dismiss everything else he's done because of that one thing. He was a bully. He was in the Bullying Club when he was at Balliol College here in Oxford, and of course they have a. I've talked about the Bullying Club before, about what they do. I talked about the tortoise and things like that, and the damage they do to restaurants. Yeah. Green Sky, is Britain still at war with a secret German DVD? According to Michael Shrimpton, yeah. Stephen, Frey Bentos is the head of the Illuminati. Yeah. You definitely don't want to eat those pies then, do you? Sonny Wade, he should be done for crimes against the British, if only his steak and kidney pies. Oh, Neptune Returns, I can't be doing with all this plastic in the tea bags. There's poison. There's poison everywhere. It's just like, you can't avoid it. That's the thing. I try not to worry too much about it. Galaxian, can you publish your annual UFO convention itinerary so I can stalk you, please, Ben? Oh, right. Well, I do, actually. If you go to Hapanmo Radio, I always talk about where I'm going to be appearing. And I always invite the trolls, any of my enemies, to come and confront me face to face. I make no secrets about my travels and where I'm going. None of them have done. They like hurling abuse at me on the internet from behind the safety of their keyboard and monitor, but they don't like to actually come and confront me. I actually specifically challenged one of my trolls to a meetup, and they never turned up. Watch the video confronting Droik. I actually filmed the whole thing. Frey Bentos is the target. What's all this about Frey Bentos? Regina, after Beaconsfield near Slough. Oh, right. That's not too far away. Tina Silver, Frey Bentos is a farm in Argentina where beef is reared. Oh, right. And they're packed into tins. This is interesting stuff. Is it treason? Says, I'm Frey Bentos, and so is my wife. Trump has stuff on Boris releasing the Steele dossier, Russiagate. It's all the timing. Boris became PM after Trump visited, had a private word. Yeah, interesting that, isn't it? I covered the Trump visit. Very interesting, wasn't it? Israel Diego Rivera. David Icke is supporting Boris Johnson. Is he? I thought he wasn't. Let me just check. What does David have to say about it? Because, I mean, he's very against Trump. I mean, it's one of the things that David has done wrong is Boris, Brexit and bullshit, saving democracy, the real agenda. Well, that's his latest video cast I've not seen yet. What's that then? Because David is completely wrong about is totally wrong about. It's 25 minutes long. I'll leave that for now. Right. Is he really? I mean, you've seen it. I haven't. But David Icke was totally against Trump. I don't know. Okay, I'm not going to answer comments on Frey Bentos now. That's too off topic. Stephen, you get that as well. They do spells on you. Yeah, there's ways you can protect yourself. Do you live? Well, I know you move around a lot because you're homeless. But do you know any spiritualist churches near you? Ask them for advice. Diego Rivera, I don't think Boris is a shapeshifter. If he appears on David's show, Boris, Diego Rivera, I'll be very impressed. Hey, Stephen, go to a spiritualist church. Cosmic Claire, David seems to have been going off beam since the People's Voice affair. Yeah, Claire, the People's Voice was a very, very sorrowful occasion, and David unfortunately behaved very badly during the end of the People's Voice, which is a shame. Oh, God, I think I've done entire videos on that. Regina Lamb says Boris was born in New York. He's a double of Trump. He is, although he's a lot younger than Trump. Boris is only about 50, in his early 50s, I think. But Trump, they're both from New York. Boris actually used to have American citizenship. His mother's American, I think. I remember I think I covered that on my live stream about Boris. Diego Rivera, will you interview Boris, Ben? Yes, if he wants to, I'll be glad to. Boris, Prime Minister, sir, please do come on to my show. Oh, right. I don't know. I'm not going to do Frey Bentos, I'm afraid. Eat them. I don't like them particularly. I don't like the idea of meat pies in a can. They look stupid, but Stephen says, what about Boris Karloff? He might do a better job. Well, he did play Frankenstein monster, didn't he? Yeah. Galaxian, I've got the fan on. That's why you can hear the wind. It's just too hot in here without the fan. It's really hot in my room at the moment. Regina Lamb says, Boris and Trump both make me laugh. At least that. Well, you can actually say, at least you get a laugh, don't you? Yeah, you do at least get a. You can actually with Trump, you get a laugh. And with Boris, I have a sense of humor. They're human, in other words. They're human, rather than whatever these other brainless zombies are that we see in Parliament and in Congress and places like that. I mean, really, being a politician's got to be one of the, if anyone ever offered me a job, I'd like that. I just think, what have I done wrong? Steve-O71, no, I've never had a chip pizza. I've had pizza with chips, but never a chip pizza. Cosmic Claire says, right, yeah. Oh, yeah, they're talking about the Maybot. Says, yes. I mean, you couldn't imagine. I mean, just looking at her, I wanted to go, ugh. Just made my shoulders sink and my head droop just looking at her. She's just so. You know, in a Spitting Image used to have, that was a great show, Spitting Image. I often wonder what if that show is still going, what the puppets would look like of today's politicians. But they had John Major painted grey because he was so boring. But honestly, John Major was like a stand-up comedian compared to Theresa May. Diego Rivera says, do you still believe in shape-shifting reptilians? Why have they not stopped Brexit? Well, the answer to your first question is yes, I do believe in them. The answer why have they not stopped Brexit? Because they can't. They're trying to, and they're so far they're failing. I hope they always will. Green Sky 17, should Simon Parkes return to politics? I'm not sure he ever left Green Sky. Is he still elected? I don't know. I could check it out, couldn't I? Where was he? I know he was. He wasn't deselected, but he lost an election. Simon Parkes, Whitby. All right. Oh, it's all stuff from the mainstream media about how. Oh God. Yeah, they've been horrible to him. The way they treated him, it's been awful. The way they've ridiculed him. I don't know if he should return to politics if he's left Green Sky. I've spoken. Simon, I know, is quite with it on the 2016 thing. So I mean, there's people are divided, like Simon Parks, Claire, Cosmic Claire, you just heard, and several other people. They're into this 2016 thing really big time. Others are skeptics. People like Richard D. Hall, Neil Sanders. They're 2016 skeptics. And I explain actually especially in my 2016 video why those people are wrong. Is it treason? Says David Icke has. I've lost that. Where were you? David Icke has been so right, but try to tell people they just bring up the Queen Mother reptilian. Yeah, I mean, there's several ideas going around that's kind of disinformation, that David Icke has been cajoled into bringing up the reptilian situation to discredit the rest of what he's doing. I mean, Alex Jones has said this, Andrew Johnson has said this. I don't think so. And again, there's several reasons why I explain why. Sauna Slatite says, what church are you using to get rid of your curse in Oxford, Ben? I live in Bicester. Oh, right. I tend to go to the Oxford Christian Spiritualist Church in Cowley, Oxford, which is near where I live. It's a little bus ride from Bicester. And that's the one I'm familiar with. And they do healing and things on me. Steve 071, man. Job mate eating peas. I know Icke speaks the truth, says, is it treason? But give me a bone. What, a bone? What, are you a dog? Got 49 people watching. That's great. Hail Joe Noda. Hello. How are you? Welcome. Diego Rivera, is Boris the English Bigfoot or Yeti? I don't think so, unless he's had a shave. You got to think about that British Bigfoot, haven't you? Sonia White, what a beautiful world it was when hospital clubs still exist. Sonia, you've been watching my Porter's video, haven't you? You've been watching that. Yeah, I mean, I talk about, and you've been watching my St. Theo's videos, haven't you? Yeah. Hail Joey Noda, what are you talking about? Oh, yeah, what are you talking about? I'm going to have to delete that comment. Tina says, is Simon Parks related to Nick Parks, who made the spitting image puppets? I don't think so. His name spelled differently. There's an E between the K and S and that. Hail, do you like my head? Oh, good. Thank you. You go to church, Sonia? Oh, cool. Regina Lamb, Bigfoot in it, most probably. David Schultz, FBI studies 2 broken cameras outside the cell where Epstein died. Reminds me of the FBI that confiscated the cameras around Pentagon on 9/11. Yeah, and the 17 traffic cameras that weren't working when Diana took her last drive in Paris. I mean, it's a bit kind of it's a bit odd, isn't it, David? I mean, you try driving around a city centre at 31 miles an hour. You'll find that the cameras are quite reliable then. They won't fail then. Oh, no, you'll get lots of nasty letters and fines through the post. So if they're so reliable, how come they break down when they're really needed at times like this? Plower, hello, Plower, says, Boris Johnson is a reptilian. I have proof on my channel. Search on YouTube, Boris Johnson reptilian eyes. All right, Plower, I will have a look at that. Excuse me. Real best present one says, Brexit for the boys. Yay. Israel Diego Rivera, will Boris disclose UFO truth? Oh my God, Diego, you've just given me an idea for an entire video. Oh dear. Yeah, Claire, it's just but believe it or not, there are people saying it's just a coincidence. They say that. It's unbelievable, isn't it? Stephen, I don't want to do with the flashing. I'm sorry. It's maybe it's my camera, maybe it's the recording. I don't know what it is. Oh, what's is it treason? You need a Red Bull in that one. Am I getting tired? All right. Tina, night, Tina. Sleep well. Off to bed. See you soon. Thanks for watching, Tina. I'm glad to doing these. I think I'll do more of these videos, these live streams early, actually. The sound is a bit iffy. Is that better? I just had the fan on. I'm using this microphone rather than a camera mic because it's better quality. But I've had the fan on because it's just so damn hot in here. I'll have to switch it on again in a minute. I'm sorry, but Sonny White, coincidence and accidents manifest the will of God. Oh, it's not. All right. What's wrong with the sound? Because can the rest of you hear it all right? I'll switch the sound on. I don't know what to do about that, I'm afraid. It's not the fan. Okay. I'm afraid I don't know what to do. I mean, this microphone, according to my instruments, it's working all right. Okay. Thanks, Plower. Thanks. I hope it's as long as you can hear me, that's the most thing. Scratchy. Okay. Hello, Woody Black and Day, GAJ. Thanks. I'm glad it sounds all right. The wind. I've got the wind. I've got the mic. I've got the fan on because it's too hot in here. But so long as you can hear me all right, that's okay. All right, Claire, I've got to have the fan on. Sorry. Okay. Thanks, David. Treason says, back to subject. So, Ben, is Boris for real, do you think? Sorry, I missed the start of the stream. So far, as I said, that's all right, Treason. And so far, he does. I mean, do you remember the video I made about him, the live stream I made about him? I said, and I've linked it in the description box so you can see it if you haven't already. I said I wasn't sure whether he is the British Trump or whether he's a plant or whatever he is. His background is different from Trump. He has more mainstream political credits to his background than Trump does, who has virtually none. So that wasn't a good sign. But I said he had been saying things that I thought made me think he was an anti-establishment figure. And what's more, he deserves a chance. Now, what he's done in the last few days indicates that he is for real. What he's done in the last few days does indicate that he is one of the white hats. We won't know for certain. As I said, I'll pass final judgment on him when we're on the other side of Brexit. Yeah. Paul is celebrating. All right. Sorry, it's Diego Rivera. Are the royal family reptilians? Boris is related to them. The senior royals are often reported as being shapeshifters. He has aristocratic background as old Boris. Yeah. Paul Armstrong says he's going to celebrate Brexit with smoked gammon washed down with a pint of the old bigot. Yay! That's a great idea, Paul. I will do something similar. I mean, I'll be in London on the 31st, but I will certainly maybe do that afterwards. Stephen, the film is called, the film about my psychic attacks and my health problems is called Still Ill. It's on my channel. I did it a few weeks ago. It's nice. Right, I know that someone, the Plower, has a video which says that Boris has reptilian eyes. I'll watch it. I don't know if that's true. I'll check it out then. I know there's films of George Bush Sr. is the person most often nominated as a shapeshifter, George H.W. Bush. And there's film where you can see he does. I mean, it's poor quality interviews, but he does appear to have these eyes that don't look right. Definitely, really does. Oh guys, what's the time? Maybe we're 2.5 hours in. Does anyone want to add anything else? Because I told you it'd be quite long. I don't know if we're going to break the 3-hour barrier, but 2.5 hours is not bad. Do you want to add anything else, or shall I call it a night? Let me know in the comments now if you want to say anything else. Hugo runes off. Night, Hugo. Cosmic Claire says, have you heard of the QI Chi Coil electronic pain reducers? Yeah, there's Nexus has been advertising it. I've not tried it though. Sonia White, you've been psychically attacked, Sonia. I'm sorry to hear that. It seems to be more common than most people think. You can't go to your bloody doctor because they'll just make you an appointment at the damn psychiatric clinic, won't they? Plower, I'll check out your video, Plower, of Boris Johnson with the reptilian eyes. Paul Armstrong, I know you're a night owl. JJDA says, Ben, what most would you like to see come from Brexit? I would like to see it be the first step to I'd like to see it continue into a more far-reaching backlash against the New World Order. In other words, I'd like the 2016 effect to continue from the moment of Brexit. That's what I want more than anything else. Is it treason? Ben, it's Friday and we want to see you finish that wine. Oh, I'll finish it. Oh. I might get another glass if you've got lots of things you want me to talk about. But doing these earlier live streams is a good idea, actually. I think, Okay, Sauna, I've got an early start tomorrow, so I won't go on too late. But take care. Thanks for posting. Thanks for posting very much. Treason. I'm not going to finish the bottle tonight. I've got to work in the morning. Night, Stephen. Steve071, does your new book have a title yet? I've given it the working title of The Obscurati Chronicles. And this is actually based... I've already written a series of sketches called that, which you can read on Ben's Bookcase, my fiction blog. And I've incorporated some of that, as you'll know if you've read them, into the Roswell trilogy. But I might incorporate more of it into this new book called The Obscurati Chronicles. I've already started work on it. It is going to take as long as it takes, basically, to write. But it's about time I wrote a new book. Galaxian, we were signed about 5 treaties with the EU. Can we leave Mun? Those treaties all have to be repealed. That's the thing. Brexit will involve the repeal of those treaties, which has started, but it's not all been done yet. JJD, the 2016 effect. Oh, JJ, watch my video. I can't explain it all now, but it's because what it was, 2016, I believe, is a year when there was a serious breakdown of the New World Order agenda. I've made a video about it called Why 2016 Matters, which you can find on my channel. Starshine, hello. The only way to get a good deal is to threaten the EU with no deal. Boris is doing a bloody good job of scaring them. Well, I don't think the EU care. I don't think they care about a no deal. I think what they care about right now is that Brexit is damaging them very badly. This is having a much bigger effect outside Britain than it's having in Britain, believe me. And I don't think they care. I think they will push us into a no-deal Brexit, I hope, because they did say in April that they wouldn't give us another delay. They wouldn't give us another chance for a delay. I hope they stand by that now. I really hope they do. I think Boris is doing a good job, hopefully, of reassuring the people who are meant to be scared by this no-deal boogeyman, and that is the British people. It's the British population whose opinion is being measured, is being manipulated by this boogeyman of no deal, this Project Fear. Sure, I'll take a look at that, Plower. Thank you very much. That's this video about Boris Johnson with his reptilian eyes. Sonia White says Muse Uprising. That's a great tune, isn't it? Yeah. John Nolan, hello. Looks like you need shelves, Ben, for your books and DVDs. Yeah, I started thinking about maybe if I could put shelves up on the wall behind me. Which would be good. I mean, I've got a little fridge there, which I use for cold drinks and milk and things. I put my wine in there as well. But I've got a plug there, and I thought about having a bookshelves. I need some sort of bookshelves, definitely. Is it treason? What is the fourth estate? I keep hearing that. Sorry about my ignorance. Neptune's News has not sold out. Have you heard their song Exopolitics? Okay, click the icon. Okay, yeah, all right. That doesn't work for me, but I've got the admin chat list, so that's different. Starshine, no deal isn't doom; it's an opportunity. Exactly. Starshine, when the Brexit thing was being debated before 2016, they were doing talks about World Trade Organization and its Brexit, isn't it? JJDA, my favourite book is the Illuminatus trilogy by Robert Anton Wilson and Robert Shea, and I don't have a copy. I lost my copy of it. but I've read it about 3 times. I love it. Neil Desperandum. Hello, Neil. The fourth estate is the media, which is supposed to hold the government to account instead of being corrupt. Fake news is of today. That's interesting, Neil. Yeah, I mean, I know that there's that famous hip-hop song by Immortal Technique, the fourth branch of the government, aka the media. Yeah. So that's what it means, the fourth estate. That's interesting. Thank you. Neptune Returns. Discuss in detail the backstop, says Neptune Returns. Right. The backstop is a phantom menace created by Ramonas as part of Project Fear. What they've done is they've taken the most functional, they've taken the most functional border on planet Earth, and they have turned it into the demilitarized zone of North Korea. The border between Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland, created in I think 1920, after the partitioning, after the Irish Free State was created, was under the Anglo-Irish Agreement. Basically, you could just treat it as if it's not there. You can live on either side of that border, and you can have dual citizenship of UK or Ireland. It runs through graveyards, it runs through farmers' fields, it runs through some people's houses, it runs through villages. There are people and towns. There are people who live on one side of the border and work on the other. Sure, there's been roadblocks and things during the Troubles there, but basically what they've done is they've taken this border, and by completely manufactured problems, they decided that suddenly it's such an awful thing. It's like the hook that's keeping Britain into the EU. And of course, the Irish globalist occupied government under that Varadkar guy have been only too pleased to encourage terror and horror. I mean, there's even been talk of the IRA getting reformed and bombings and things to start again because of it. That's basically, in a few sentences, what the backstop is. And the backstop is like a temporary measure to cope with that phantom menace. But there's no need for any problems. That border existed long before the EEC was created. It worked perfectly well. It accounts for less than 0.16% of all the imports and exports to Britain go over that border. It's a nonsense. It's an absolute nonsense. They're making it up. Israel Diego Rivera, how will we know when the New World Order is defeated? We will know. It'll probably be by a way that we can't tell now. One thing I'm certain, if we have UFO disclosure, that's the end of the New World Order. I've explained many times that UFO disclosure cannot exist in the New World Order. It can't. It's one of the foundation stones. Also, the other secrets, such as child abuse and things like that, false flag terrorism, when those come out, I think those will be the final nails in the coffin. But then the coffin nails are already going in. 2016 was the first coffin nail. Okay. What's it? After the first 3 estates, right. I see, yeah, executive, judiciary, legislature. That's what you get in the United States, yes. Thanks. Where is your backstop, Ben? Israel D. Well, a backstop is also a position in rounders, which is the equivalent of the catcher in baseball. Woody Black says, the flashing people are talking about is when your screen share. Yes, I see what you mean. Thanks, Woody. Do I not? I've got 2 lights on here. David Schultz, I guess it's time to hit the road. Okay, thanks for watching, David. Keep smiling. That's half the battle. Watch the skies. Yes. See you later down the road. I won't give up. I won't lose that optimism. As I said, there's no good way out for the government on this. Whatever happens, we win. Green Sky 17. Did German U-boats fuel in Ireland to attack convoys? Yes. The IRA used to fuel the U-boats. There's a big scandal, actually, because they found the cans of... The IRA actually had to admit it because they found the old cans in Dingle Bay in the caves. And how close were the SNP party to the Nazis because they were being watched? I don't know, because I could ask. Do you know what's her name? One of Miles's interviewees. Her grandfather helped found the SNP. See you, Neptune Returns. Claire, they will never stop trying to come back even if we defeat them. I don't know, Claire. That's possible. I think once they're defeated, it'll be gone for a long time. It'll be like the apple in the apple. Do you remember in Magician's Nephew, where Aslan says, "This we're talking C.S. Lewis here, ladies and gentlemen. This won't keep the White Witch away from Narnia forever, but it'll keep her away for a long time." Sonia White, yeah, the IRA just deal drugs. They found a new role for themselves. John Nolan. You can get storage boxes fairly cheap. They're good for the job. Right, yeah. I actually don't have any supplies. I don't have a zombie gun either. Because I'm confident that Brexit is a good thing. If I ever stock up on supplies and get weaponry and things like that, it'll be because Brexit doesn't happen and we stay in the EU. Is it treason? If they announced aliens tomorrow, I would wonder what they're up to. If they announced Atlantis, I would not believe them. I would give up if I didn't care. Well, is it treason? The idea of fake disclosure for whatever subject it is, of the Herpano-esque bent, is something we've got to be on our guard against. It really is. And that's why, if we had disclosure tomorrow, I mean, have you read the Roswell trilogy? Do read it, because it brings up, I've had to think very long and hard about this, it brings up the idea of fake disclosure is a big theme of that, especially the first book. Please do read the Roswell trilogy. I'm not saying that because it's my book and I want you to buy it. I think you will get something out of it. Diego Rivera says, David Icke has done the biggest mistake supporting Boris. Really? Does he actually support Boris? I haven't watched it yet, but you know, that's the next thing I'll watch as soon as I've got to finish the live stream. I'll go and watch it. But you know, David Icke did one of the biggest mistakes David Icke has ever made is not supporting Trump. But I know you have a different view on Boris to me. But if he's supporting Boris, then I don't think that's a mistake. Maybe he'll see Trump. Sonia White, drugs and baccy. Neptune returns. It is early, yeah, I know, but you know, as I said, at least I'm not dropping off to sleep like I did when I did the 9 o'clock starts. But you know, I still want to sort of like have another glass of wine and a sit down and things like that. Diego Rivera, how big is the biggest alien spaceship? Well, the biggest UFO reported, of which a specific scale has been measurable, is roughly the size of a large ship. Someone described one as being the size of an oil tanker once. Nothing as it seems. You Stephen J. Crothers on the non-existent black holes. What's that about? Nothing. Anyway, welcome, Nothing. Nice to see you. Sonia White, if the IRA loved Ireland, what a joke. Well, you see, yeah, I mean, I do, Sonia, I mean, look at, I talked about Sinn Féin earlier, pro-EU. This is what I've said about the Irish. This is their problem. And I mean, I'm not being arrogant here, because I'm a Welsh person and Wales has the same problem. Ireland, and what Ireland does, Ireland really has got it into its head, because of its history. Ireland has got it into its collective head that it can have no other foreign enemy than Britain. And once they defeat the Brits and they have the Free State, that's it. You're safe. And that's it. No other problem can happen. So when the EU comes along and takes over, they don't notice. They buy all the propaganda. Oh, it's just for trade and things like that. Some Irish people get it. Jim Core is an Irishman who understands this. Gemma O'Doherty is an Irish woman who understands this, and she's been banned from bloody YouTube. The bastards have banned the great Gemma O'Doherty from YouTube. Is she back, actually? Is she back? I hope they got her back. I know she's on BitChute, but they're trying to get her back. Bastards. Her channel. Oh, yep. Oh, she's still on there. I can still see her on there, but they're probably mirrors. Yeah, her channel's not back. They've banned her for good. Bastards. They banned one of the best people on YouTube. Yeah, but the Irish generally have this problem. And Wales has the very same mental block, which prevents it from seeing this or understanding this danger that's come its way. I mean, it's honestly, you know, I've seen Sinn Féin members being interviewed about it, and they're like, and you think to them and they say, look, do I really have to explain the concept of national sovereignty and home rule to an Irish person? But they just don't. They just say, oh no, everything's fine. But someone was saying, I think was it Gallic Neo-Reactionary? Someone on YouTube, was an Irish person was talking about how basically Sinn Féin used to be like they used to be like home rulers when they've been taken over basically by Marxism. They've been taken over by the far left. I forgot. Someone was talking about it the other day. Oh, is this guy who was on? Oh, what's his name? He's a really interesting guy, actually. Gemma O'Doherty fan. Oh, where are we now? Okay. Oh, I've lost my place on the slope. Someone was asking me, what was it? Oh yeah, IRA. Does the IRA thing? Sonia White was saying. JJDA says, Ben, could you elaborate on the one change you would most like to see come from Brexit? Elaborate? Well, what I would like to. Okay, JJ, to be more specific to the reply I gave you before, I would like to see other nations drop out. And I think we're going to see that anyway. I'd like to see this inspire the French to elect Marine Le Pen and get rid of that horrible soy-fed gimp they got at the moment. What's his name? Macron. I'd like to see the FPO in Austria do better. These people who are actually saying today they want to fight back against the globalists. This is not controlled opposition. These are genuine anti-globalistic popular fronts. This is populism, as it's called. It's a derogatory term. I'd like to see that spread to the whole empire. Once that empire crumbles, once the superstate agenda is over with, what do they do? Because the entire New World Order is centered on the two-stage model. That is, continental superstates to be merged into a one world government. Interestingly, the person who came up with this model was none other than Joseph Stalin. So once the EU falls, what's going to happen to the African Union? Will that continue? Maybe, hopefully, it'll spread to that, and then hopefully NAFTA will never have to. The Americans will never have to face this because they don't have a union to break out of. NAFTA can simply be reformed away. Because the New World Order is so set on the two-stage Stalinist solution, what are they going to do after that? Cosmic Claire. David has gone off beam and thinks Trump is controlled. Yeah, Claire, he's really. For some reason, Claire, whenever you post a comment, it seems to be repeated about a dozen times. Oh, right. I noticed I think you've noticed this yourself, and you've been deleting them. Thanks. I don't know why that is. It could be your keyboard or something. I don't know. But anyway, yeah, David has he's got it totally wrong about Trump. Totally. Even if he doesn't do what some of us would like, he's not going to do what the New World Order want either. Exactly, Claire. I address all of David's points in my various videos, including my 2016 one. David, I've got a lot of respect for David, but I've never said that David was perfect, and unfortunately, we have more evidence that he is not, which is a shame. But I still like the guy. I still respect him for the good things he does. Sonia, what? I didn't mean you, Ben. What do you mean, Sonia? Are you? What do you mean? Sorry. In what way didn't you mean me? So you've lost me. Sonia White says this is De Valera history. Is that Eamon De Valera? Is that the guy who led the Easter Rising in Dublin? Yeah. Galaxian. Any movie suggestions? Oh, Cloud Atlas, V for Vendetta, The Matrix, of course. Oh God. Actually, Galaxian, check my channel. I've done an entire video called DVDs on my shelf, and I take you through my DVD collection. Oh, right, Sonia White. The History of Ireland was written by De Valera. Oh, I see. I've not read that, Sonia, but okay. Diego Rivera. It's the biggest secret that David is a shape-shifting reptilian in a blue tracksuit. Well, he hasn't shape-shifted when I've met him a few times, and he's not shape-shifted. Steve O71, is Capel Green in edit yet? Yes, it is. Sorry for the delay on Capel Green, but it is coming. Neptune returns. The Irish government are useless and corrupt. Yes, they are. Irish government are basically they're just an enclave of the EU and New World Order. They're even worse than Britain. Diego Rivera, fake alt-right, the EU will crash after Brexit is part of the plan. No, it's not. No, it's not. It's not the plan for the EU to crash. I mean, I cover this in my other videos. They are absolutely committed to the two-stage solution, the two-stage plan. Absolutely committed to it. Claire says, Britain has been historically been the first in the world with a number of things: industry, anti-slavery, world language. We will set a precedent for a new nationalist age that will destroy globalism. Claire, it's wonderful, isn't it, that we are the first, we throw the first brick of all the other things Britain has pioneered in. And when it comes to stopping the New World Order, it's our country that throws the first brick, and it takes the first real serious step against the New World Order. And indeed, the United States is second with Trump. Isn't it wonderful? That is, of all the things, I mean, there's many reasons why we British should be proud of being British, but this will be the greatest thing our nation has ever done. All those other things you listed, they're really great, but they're nothing. They're kid stuff compared to what we're doing now. If we do this is why I will never forgive the Ramonas for what they've done. I will never will. I mean, and especially if they actually succeed in their dastardly plan at the moment. Yeah, really, it's wonderful, isn't it, Claire? It really is. JJDA says, bravo, Ben. China, then Star Wars, their agenda. Yeah, I mean, they have their own version of the EU in all the areas of the world now, or proto-EUs, like NAFTA. Sonia White, they're still a powerful Protestant part of ERA. Yeah, it's not all in Northern Ireland, is it? I mean, they have like people of different religions, and it's a lot of Roman Catholics, but there's a Church of Ireland. I saw a Church of Ireland church in Tramore when I was in Ireland. There's one in Tramore. It's a Protestant church in Tramore, which is in the south, in the deep south of Ireland, right in County Waterford. Joimes Stormy, hello Joimes. Need runes, cursed runes. Power can be yours with one PayPal transaction, please. Are you spamming, Jones? Because I will delete any spam I see here. Is it Treason said, I had a mad UFO sighting with the black-eyed child thing and ended up with Larry Warren. That's how I ended up finding real right. That's your path to the red pill, is it, Treason? Is it Treason? Oh, cool. Right. Don't worry about it, Claire. I can see you're deleting your repeated messages. I mean, it may be something to do with your browser or something like that. But don't worry about it. These things won't appear on the final. Even if you don't repeat them, I mean, I can always delete them myself, so don't worry about it. Joimes, what runes? What are you talking about? What? He says, it's fucked. All right. Well, you're not making a lot of sense, mate. I'll tell you. Joimes Stormy says, I used them to start Brexit. Did you? I'm sorry. No, don't apologise. Don't. If you started Brexit, that's great. Neptune returns. It would ruin me. Would it ruin Hugo Rune? Hugo Rune's gone now, isn't he? Sonia White, this is just history is told by the Nazis. Well, the Nazis are still around. Are they? The fascists are the ones that the fascists are the ones being supported by the so-called anti-fascists. That's the irony. Diego Rivera, yes, it is. Done to reform the EU. Brexit is the New World Order. No, it's not. Look, where's your evidence that they've decided to completely go back on their existing strategy and start a new one at this point in this late stage of the game? And then the funny thing is that Diego Rivera, the moment they choose this new strategy, they can do everything they can to encourage people not to go along with it. Are you saying, oh, is it just another deeper level of the conspiracy? Can't you see it, Ben? This is why I'm so much cleverer than you are, Ben. Oh, I've heard all that before. I really have. Diego Rivera says the UK created the EU after World War II. The EU was actually planned before World War II, but it was the main steps began after World War II with the Treaty of Brussels. You could just say that World War II was a major step towards creating it. JJDA says, intriguing as always, Ben. Oh, thanks. We'll take a look at your 2016 upload and the book you mentioned. Take a look at the book I suggested that last live stream, The Tyranny of Words by Stuart Chase. I remember you saying that. Yeah, The Tyranny of Words. Let me just I'll just make a note of it. All right. I will. Thank you very much, JJ. Good night. See you then. Well, Joins is saying that the runes caused Brexit. Well, I think that's great. I'm really pleased. Stan Smith, greetings. How are you? Good to see you back as well. Joims says he summoned Farage. Well, these runes are very useful, Joims, and of course that's a great thing. Sonia White said, they always said that home rule is Roma rule. Ah, well, it was true, wasn't it? Well, Ian R. Crane said that the EU is basically a Catholic entity, and he says the reason Tony Blair converted to Roman Catholicism was because so he could be head of the EU Commission. That's his next role, to be actually head of the EU Commission. Joim says anyone who isn't white and British is alien. Well, there is such a thing as an indigenous racial population in every country. That's right. Although I don't, if people who are non-white come to me and say, I really feel British, Ben, I really feel like I am, it'd be churlish for me not to disagree with them. To disagree with them on that. I do believe, though, I mean, immigration is a bad thing, and immigration is part of the New World Order. And I mean, I'm saying that as someone who's got nothing against any individual or group of people. I live quite happily with two men who are from the Sudan and are practicing Muslims. But it's got to stop. It's got to stop. And in the post-Illuminati world, it will inevitably stop because there'll be no... Immigration doesn't happen just spontaneously. Immigration is made to happen. It's an industrialized movement of people. You take away the impetus, the push and pull factors, and it will stop. It will stop. Not least because it'll improve the quality of life in other countries as well. Oh, from space. Oh, I see. You're saying anyone who isn't white is an alien from space. So are you saying the only Earth-based humans are white people and everyone else is... It's funny you should say... I read somewhere else about that black people come from Mars. And apparently if you take a black person, like an African, and you put them into like a situation where there's no sunlight and their circadian rhythm breaks down, if you do that with a white person, it naturally, the circadian rhythm continues on the 24-hour cycle. But a black person's circadian rhythm has an extra 45 minutes. And that's because, so it gradually moves forward 45 minutes a night. The reason is because that's the rotation of Mars. So that's interesting, that. I read that somewhere. I don't know. I mean, that's possible, It's possible because, I mean, there's lots of aliens look human. And I don't believe that humans, as we see each other, as we are simply creatures of this world. I believe they may be creatures of many worlds. So that's interesting, isn't it? Yeah. Diego Rivera says, what's your highest views on YouTube, Ben? Oh, right. Well, my most popular video is, oh, God, what is it? Let's have a look at what my most popular, I don't know. Most popular is, it's my Helen Duncan one. All right. And then that's that. My Helen Duncan video is my most popular, and I do like that one. I think it's a very good one. What's happened to my channel? Oh, it's saying that my live stream is live. That's the main thing. Neptune Returns says that he summoned Carol Vorderman. Did she die? That very clever lady who used to do Countdown. Sonia White, come back, brother. All is forgiven. Do you mean the TV series? Yeah. Diego Rivera, do you think aliens are racists or nationalists? I have no idea. Is it reason? Bungle with a Mohican. Yeah, that's my flannel. I just put it there to dry. I just had a bath. James says, look, if you aren't going to buy my cursed runes, I'll use them to curse Boris. I'm not going to buy your cursed runes, Joins, and I think that Boris has taken precautions against you cursing him. don't test me. He's going to come down with serious gout, is he? I think Boris has people who have these things, and I think he understands how the things work. I think he's perfectly safe, personally. Okay, we've got 48 people viewing, but it's now been going for 3 hours. We've broken the 3-hour barrier. So if there's nothing else, guys, I think I'll call it a night. I'll get some more wine in a minute. See you, Steve. Thank you very much. Very much appreciate you posting. These live streams would be nothing without you guys. It's really, I'll be sitting here reading myself. So I really appreciate you joining the chat box, and I appreciate you coming in there and putting your side across, because the most interesting part is where I answer your questions. See you, Woody Black. Thanks, Claire. Bye, Claire. Thank you very much for posting, and I appreciate that. And I know it's a different time for you, so you're welcome. Is it treason? Thank you for posting too, for joining us. Bye, Plower. Good luck with those reptilian eyes. And what I'll do now is I will probably be back, actually, because everything's happening so quickly that I'll probably have to cover this again. Night is Diego Rivera, and I'll do live streams. I'll be doing. Do check the Hapanwo Voice blog as well, hapanwo-voice.blogspot.co.uk, because I put articles on there, written articles. Thanks, Green Sky. Neptune Returns says, what are your views on disclosure? Oh, God. Neptune Returns wants a 6-hour job. No chance. Nice try. Plower, okay. I'll watch the video. I've got your channel here. Nanites, Neil Desperandum. Thank you, Galaxian. Thank you for posting. Enjoy your dinner. God bless Sonia. Good night. Thank you very much, all of you. It's been a great show. It's been a long, as I predicted, it's been a long live stream, and it's been a necessary one. Stand by, keep an eye on the channel, because there will be more. Don't forget, like, subscribe, etc. Click the little bell icon so you get email notifications when new videos go up. And I look forward to joining with you again. I've got ideas for new videos, but I think certainly over the next week or two, the Brexit situation is going to have to be prioritised. Take care, all of you. Have a pleasant evening, what's left of it.